Live now. Do I want to move this a little bit? Mayhaps. Hello and welcome to the last live stream of the week. My last stretch of maintenance here, getting it done today. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do these first because I forgot to do them yesterday. My Prinotheca coronata larva. Let's get a look on these. Alright, how do I... Alright, is that better? That better. Alright. Yep, my knobbly knees are in the shot. Cool. Alright, well, they usually are anyways. Alright, so... just doing some maintenance. Alright, so you can see there. There's one of them there. Prinotheca larva. There's one of them. The L2 Prinotheca coronata seem to be doing pretty well. Does it feel like... is this... okay. Feels like I'm not centered where I'm holding the containers. Okay. But, yeah, so these guys have been doing alright. Having to be very careful with the amount that I missed them, because, like, watering Sandman, just, like, a couple drops is all it takes to get the entire enclosure humid, and I don't want that. There, like that. That's it. That's all the moisture I want in that sand. I just want the very bottom layer a little humid for the larva, because they do require some moisture. Otherwise, they'll molt improperly. But, alright. And then a couple pieces of fish food pellets, which I just... it's the color enhancing ones. Not that they need their color enhanced, but it's just a nice little piece of food that I can dunk in there. Not have to worry about breaking up. I just saw this one burrowing. Yeah, look at that. Come on. For the camera. Ooh, that one might be L3 already. Maybe L2 still. Yeah, Prinotheca coronata. Doing that thing. So that's great. They seem to be doing well. The 8 larvae that I have isolated so far. Might be too much water. Might be a little too much water. Set that up. There we go. Let me prevent that. Don't want too much water. Hey, Behijager! You made it! You made it, and I just started. Look, Prinotheca coronata larva. Doing well. But I have to be so careful in watering them because I keep accidentally overwatering them, and then the whole substrate gets damp, and then I have to go through and replace some of it with dry sand, because if the entire sand's wet, they don't like that, and they can die. Oh, wow, okay, that's definitely got to be... is that not L3? That might be. This might be the oldest larva. Look at that one. That one's pretty chunky already. Show that off to the camera. Now it's on its back. You can see there their little legs. But yeah, they're so cute. Such cute little guys. And this is only like an 1/8 of their full size. Supposedly the full-grown larva can reach up to 8 centimeters, and this is about a centimeter. So, should get a lot bigger than that. But of course, it's captive bred, so some of them might not reach quite that large a size, but that's okay. As long as I get them to adulthood, and they are healthy adults capable of reproduction, I don't really care too much about the size. Okay. And we'll just bury a couple more pieces. There we go. It's better to bury the food for these guys because they're so photosensitive. They don't really come to the surface unless they're like absolutely dehydrated or really starving. But you should bury their food for them. Kind of just want to know where each of them are when I do this. Okay, yeah, I see them. You guys can see them right there. So then when I put this back in, I will water this side. Don't want to water the sand on top of the larva or they can get stuck. Alright, that's good. Pieces of food, bury that. There we go. Four more, and you can see already where the tediousness comes in with these because they are cannibalistic, so they cannot be kept together. So that I have to do this, you know, individually can be annoying, but worth it for these guys. Yeah. Try to get a little closer here. That one's still like L1. Okay, so that one's gonna be on that side. So, a little bit of sand spilling. Get that. That should be good. There we go. And I'm going with very minimal ventilation for these two. Only just like half a dozen pinholes in the lid, basically. And that's it. They already dry out pretty fast. I mean, in a week, so like that's good. Just aiming to care for these once a week is my other bugs. Alright, let's see. A couple of... Still a little bit damp in here. Let's see. Where are you? There it is. The bottom there you can see. So it's on that side, so I'll water this side. Just a couple drops, because this sand is still a little damp. That's good. Be really gentle with the trigger to get it to only put out a couple drops. See anything in the chat? Hey Alan. Hey Frank the Tank. Getting the gang's getting back together. Alright, let's see here. Yep, there's this one. Yeah, some of these guys are getting pretty hefty in a pretty short time. My Prinotheca coronata, for those that just got in here. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so it was on that side, so I'll water this side. Just a few drops. That may have been too much. Alright. Couple pieces of food. Bury that. There we go. One more. And then these guys they've not been laying any more eggs lately. But, I mean, I hope they will soon. I'd like more than 8 larvae, preferably, to start my colony up. Not seeing this one. Let's see. I think I can dump this into... Yeah, that should be good. Alright, let's just kind of do that. Hopefully this one's still okay. Might have had amortality. So I'm not seeing this last one. Is that it? Yeah, it looks like we did have a die-off. So this is my first one to die off so far. Rip. So down to 7 Prionotheca. It happens. Again, it would be nice if the adults were pumping out eggs a little bit more consistently. So then, you know, that's kind of why I like starting with adults. So I have a little bit more of trial and error with camelonids in general, in specific. You know, plenty of other darklings easy to start from larvae, but I mean, these guys are quite finicky as larvae. So yeah, hopefully the adults lay more eggs. I've been checking and hoping now that it's springtime, I think they're kind of seasonal breeders, and so hopefully with a longer photo period and everything, they'll start reproducing a bit more consistently. But all right, so that's 7 Prionotheca, still healthy out of 8. You know, pretty good, and most of them are molting fairly frequently, so not too shabby. Alright, here we have Princessia van Werbecky tiger and Eurycotus decipiens cohab I'm trying out here. So the Eurycotus I just got from Mason Bird, and I think he got his from me, maybe, because mine crashed. But this is a project, these haven't even bred yet, but my project tiger hissers, just to make ones with very consistent classic tiger coloration. So that's a really nice female. And got a couple nice males. This female's not so great, but she'll do. Yeah, really just trying to get a consistent A-grade tiger colony going, I guess. And yeah, that's a really nice male as well. Coloration. Look at the reds. The reds on those thoracic segments, and then the nice clear, crisp striping. Love it. So yeah, just got a couple pairs in here, and we'll be line breeding them for as long as it takes to get that consistent result. And then I just threw these Eurycotus in here because I think they should like the same conditions. So, decently ventilated, but fairly humid. Alright, that should be okay. And even that might be too much. I am low on apple. I only have 2.5 apples left. It's no bueno. I need more. Need more than that. So some species are gonna get a little shorted this week. With my Stenorillo, Tenerillo, tiny little bumpy isopod species. Doing very well. Very minimal setup for these guys. Keep them pretty minimally ventilated and fairly humid. They're not like soaking wet or anything. Yeah, cute little guys for sure. Alan sent me these. There's that. And these are, Edwin sent these to me late last year. Some Cubara species Panda King tapir morph. These guys are pretty neat. I'll probably go ahead and devote a gallon shoebox to these because they're pretty cool. But I mean, they're breeding just fine in this setup. But let's see if I can show some off. So these are like higher white. They're a little variable in coloration, but they have more white on them than like normal Panda Kings. So they're pretty neat. Alright, there's that. And what bins. This is my Hemiblabra granulata. Almost lost these guys, but was able to pull them out of a death spiral. They were doing so good, and then grain mites of all things. I haven't had problems with grain mites in years, but they've been making a little bit of a resurgence lately, and it kind of just wiped my granulata colony. But they're doing well. I was able to salvage like a dozen individuals, and now see if you can, well, it just fell. There's babies, basically. I was trying to show one off, and it just ran off my hand. Come on. Don't make a liar out of me. Here we go. See that? Little baby. Yeah, they hatch out, they birth out pretty small. I mean, this is an adult male right here, so as far as Hemiblabra go, they are among the smallest, though Bruneri definitely have them beat. Definitely smaller, even smaller than these. And here's a female. Yeah, so these guys, pretty cool, more matte textured Hemiblabra. Pretty neat little guys. From Guadalupe. Alright, get that piece of apple. They're lucky they get that. That, and then this is my Gyna Sculpturata bin. Not Sculpturata. Gyna Caphrorum. The dirt. Guys are, I don't know if I can show these off without them trying to fly, so I'm gonna have to grab them by the wing. But these guys are really cool. These are kind of slept on, in my opinion. At the very least, they make a good feeder, like, or you could use them as feeders because they're really prolific. I mean, you can see this substrate is just crawling with them. Absolutely crawling with them. I bought, like, when Kyle was doing his, like, substrate bin changes last year, he just sold a box full of substrate of these, and I bought that for like $40, and I mean, it was a colony on arrival, basically. And they have only grown in numbers, especially you see in the moist side here, just teeming. And the reason they ain't getting out is because I have silicone oil around the rim, so they can't. Okay, well, that one proved me wrong immediately. Ugh. But I got him. But yeah, for the most part, they're not coming out. It would be a lot worse if there was no silicone oil. They'd be all over. But no, they can't scale it. I'm gonna have to do a freaking substrate sale of my own to kind of cool these down a bit and also lower the substrate layer a little, because there's a little too many in here. That, or I should probably start using these as feeders for my assassin bugs too. That would help. Alright, we'll spray that down. What do we got here? Get those back where they go. And let's take these down. Leave those right now. Okay. And here, these are the what do we call it? Pseudophilodromidae species, something Belize. These are the container number 1 roaches that Kyle sent me somewhere in Belize. But these are, I think, they look a lot like a Latiblatella or Eustastoblatta. But yeah, it's gonna be Kind of hard to show them off. Let's see if I can mayhaps get one on my hand. Oh, this one's volunteering. Just another cute little pseudo-phylodromid. Not sure what genus they belong to yet, but supposedly rather easy to breed. So we'll see. I've got a decent group on my hands now, so hopefully I'll get a colony established. I did see Behidjadric commented, but I got covered by this. Let me see if I move the phone a bit so I can read the comments. Yeah, container number 1 beliefs are beautiful, yeah, especially the nymphs. Mine are all adults now, though, so I can't show a nymph off, but hopefully eventually I will be able to. Yeah, once they breed, hopefully it won't be too long. So, just kind of winging it on the setup and humidity here. And apparently that worked, because I do see hatchlings on the side of the container, under some of the egg crate here. So I guess they have bred. So I guess this is working. Just vented lid. This is, I haven't converted. This is what I was doing for my pseudophylodromids pre-micro mesh. I was just poking a bunch of holes, and then you got paper towel under the lid. I will eventually switch them over to this. This nice micro mesh. These are my Oxyaloa duesta redheads. These guys, or as my one friend calls them, Satan's pubic lice. He really hates them. He's the one who sent them to me, but he hates them because they're really prolific, and if you don't keep them well contained, they get into everything and breed in other bins. See if I can show some off, but I like them. They look really cool. There's some more down in there. And they've been pretty prolific already, and I just got them. So, that's always good. Decent feeder alternative. So, they like things pretty dry, so I just spritz down the back of their container and let it dry out between waterings. Let's do this first. These are my Biosotria fumigata, real fumigata, which I did look into it. So Kyle, he has and he will hopefully be sending me some here shortly. There's a smaller, lighter species. Here in the U.S., we've always called them Biosotria species Cuba. Overseas, they call them fumigata for some reason, even though these are closer to holotype fumigata. But he's been labeling them Biosotria fumigata pallida, var pallida, which is not a published name whatsoever. And again, as far as I could tell, like these dark ones are the true Biosotria fumigata. And so I did some research on it, and it turns out, so basically what it is there was another species described from, I think, the same locality, or at least very nearby in Cuba, as these. The same person who described fumigata described these. He described them as Biosotria thunbergi. And then, for some reason, Princess synonymized the two species, like, a while afterwards, and I don't think he gave a reason why, of course. But Thunbergi is what is short-winged and has lighter wings, so those appear to be what the species Cuba / light fumigata are. So I think he should label those Biosotria fumigata, or Biosotria fumigata thunbergi, or Biosotria CF thunbergi, Probably CF Lindberghi, I think would be better. Don't confuse them with what is actually Fumigata. Because these do match the holotype. The holotype of Fumigata is a long-winged male with black, smooth wings like these guys. So that's all the fruit they get today. Okay, and then here we got more individual larvae to feed. So my Pyrophorus Noctilucus. Yeah, so these are the only ones I have left. But they seem to be doing well. And I am on a much more rigorous feeding schedule with them. They seem a lot less tolerant of neglect than some of the other click beetles I've been keeping, I'm noticing. So, they definitely seem to need a pretty consistent feeding schedule, or they don't do that well. And I have been treating them extra special, and I have been feeding them mealworms mostly, instead of dog food. Just to see if it gets them growing a little faster. And I mean, they are growing pretty well. At the size they are right now, if all of them could potentially pupate, though it would be a bit premature. So, might have adults of these in a few months, we'll see. Or they might take till next year and get massive, which I wouldn't complain necessarily, as long as enough of them make it to adulthood at the same time and I can get a next generation, then I'm fine. But yeah, just feeding these some Tenebrio Molitor Weissman Giant. Those are the only Tenebrio Molitor I have. But you can see, there's one of the click beetles down there, click beetle larvae. Yeah, these are one of the largest Pyrophorinae glowing click beetles, if not the largest, and I think they are the brightest, like, recorded glowing insect that there is. There's another larva there. So they glow pretty brightly. It's very, very cool to see in person. But it has been years since I last seen adult Pyrophorus. So, kinda hoping... well, this one might actually be pupating. You can see it's built a little bit of a cavernous chamber down there rather than a normal tunnel. Of course, this is one of the smaller ones, too. Well, again, I don't really care what size these ones come out at as long as I get a next generation. As long as I get enough to mature at the same time that they breed, then I'm fine. Because right now I'm just kind of in crisis mode trying to make sure these do reproduce. We are coming perilously close to these being lost from the hobby. Someone needs to get a good generation going. This, and where is he? This one's still active. Got a couple larvae in there. And trying to find some that aren't pre-pupal so they'll actually dig down. Alright. And there we go. Bada boom, bada bing. Hopefully, I get those breeding. But we will see. Alright, and these are my Aranavaga Floridensis Ocala. I know Alan was having issues with his. Or I think they all died off on him. But mine are still doing pretty good. I just moved them to this enclosure like a couple months ago. And I'm hoping more space will equal more babies. There's a fresh adult male right there. covered in sand. And let's see if I can show off a female. There we go. Oh, come on. Come on. So you can see, though, these guys are a lot more glossy compared to, like, the Tampa or Poinciana lines. A lot more gloss to these. Super cool. And very dark, too. Very minimal patterning on the females. They're pretty much just black. Yeah, so new adults in here should mean some, hopefully a little bit of a baby boom. We will see. Yeah. Hoping these guys take over this bin now that they have a lot more space and a better humidity gradient as a result. This is a subadult female here. Pretty cute. But yeah, these guys are doing alright. Give them some fish root pellets and a piece of dog food. And it should be good. Maybe a little bit more water. Alright. And I have these on top of this, like so. Tiger's back. Alright. What do we got? These. Alright. Assortment of species. These are the Elypygia San Ignacio two wings. So these have two pairs of wings on them, as opposed to just the other species has only one pair of wings, but we have two species of these CF Elypygia collected from San Ignacio, Belize. They're pretty neat, small little roaches. I have a male and female pair of these two wings, which is pretty neat. And the wings on them are just tiny vestigial tegmina. But I feel like it's rare that you'll see roaches with vestigial wings, but also two sets of them. Usually they just have like one set. But try to show off this. I think this is the male. Come on. Yeah, a small, fast-moving, ground-dwelling species. He doesn't want to sit still, which sucks because these guys have some neat patterning to them, but, well, doesn't want to cooperate. But that's okay. That's okay. I'll leave them to do their thing. I think I'm going to add some, I'm going to mix up some more cocoa fiber chunks, and I'm going to top their cocoa fiber substrate with that. I think they want some more debris to hide under and lay their eggs under. But yeah, for them I'm just going with full lid ventilation and no side ventilation. These are all glued up. Some old Air Navaga containers. Pretty sure is what these used to be. A piece of dog food, so not eating much. And then these are the one wings, which neither of these have been laying ooths much as far as I can tell, or they're just being very secretive about it. Which is kind of why I want to give them some more debris. But those are the one wings. There's one right in there. You can see it. Yeah. Just cute little, kind of obscure little roach. But hopefully they'll start breeding. Fingers crossed. that, and then these was Euborelia cincticollis from Jameson Center, Alabama, but now it's really just a Cubaris marina citrus jar. Kyle threw some of those in there with them, and those are the only thing that have survived long term. I'll give them some pellets. Gotta throw some leaf litter in there for them. Alright. There's all that. Now, I guess these are Parcoblata pennsylvanica from Maryland that I've been rearing since, I think, 2023. No, had to be 2024. But, wait, no. When did I get these? No, these are from 2025. The ones I got from 2024 failed. These are... I'm not going to take them out of their hides, but it's big Parcoblata pennsylvanica. I think there's like 3 males and a female nymph. And they've been at subadult stage forever. Hoping now that it's spring they will mature. I didn't give them a diapause because I kind of want to break them out of it if they need one. But so far they're doing nothing. Parcoblata pennsylvanica, Maryland. I know. I still don't have maintain that culture, TJ. Of what? Of which one? Still got 10 adults in sub, so hoping they'll be salvageable. Oh, about your Ocala. Not Ocala. Yes, Ocala. Aranavaga floridensis. That's good. That's good. We got Crystal in here. Crystal's Pets. Welcome. And welcome Chris Snyder as well. Yeah, I ironically still don't have Parcoblata pennsylvanica from Pennsylvania. And I looked while I was there. I have Virginica from Pennsylvania, but no pennsylvanica. Pretty funny. These are my Panchlora species speckled, and this is my last time trying to keep the species. If I fail with them this time, I'm never going to keep them again. I don't care if they die out of culture, because these guys just don't do well for me. I'll sometimes get a generation of nymphs born, and then that's it. And it seems like this time I might not even get that, and I really just don't know what I'm doing wrong. Keeping them pretty dang humid, which they supposedly like. You know, I even gave them a mixture of wood in here as their substrate, and they still don't want to breed. Not seeing any babies. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty species, but at a certain point, if it's not something I really love, and I'm continuously failing with them, I'll just give up most of the time. If it's not that crazy. I mean, these are pretty. But, they're not that pretty. Not pretty enough for me to go through all this heartache. Just not worth it. So, I mean, this setup should be pretty good for them. But if they don't like it, then, oh well, that's it. Yeah, interesting color. They're really weird. Yeah, Alan, if you want speckled, I don't know if Kyle has them. I assume Kyle has them. I haven't heard him complain about not having them. If you want some and Kyle doesn't have them, Junior's who I got these from, and he's been keeping his going pretty consistently. So, I mean, I got these from him late last year. So he should still have them. But yeah, I'm just kind of done with them. These guys have been a little crash and boom, but at least they do recover from their crashes. They're my Panchlora species. Panchlora CF nivea, Little Manatee River, Florida. You can see there's some nymphs digging around there in the substrate. These guys, they do alright for me. They don't make me want to stop keeping them. Because, yes, they crash every now and then, but I'm usually able to recover them. So, yeah, these guys, pretty nice. them a little bit of apple. Maybe a bit more than that. Have to ration this apple out carefully. Only have 2 left. Yeah, Pachylaura, not that big on protein. These guys do mostly prefer fruit. But there's not a ton of them in here, so I think that should be fine for this week. And, where do we go? Okay, next up. Isopods. Armadillidium Klugi Montenegro. These are pure Montenegro stock from Kyle. There's a lot of bastardized ones in the hobby, but these are the real deal. Camera focus. It's focusing on the substrate, not the isopods. Yeah, these guys, pretty neat. Neat little isopod. Here, maybe if I hold them. I am going to start feeding these beta carotene and see if that intensifies the red. Maybe brings out some more of the yellow on their spots on the back. Come on. You got this. There you go. Look at that. Super cute. Cute, vibrant species. These were one of the first, like, newer isopods we got in the hobby. That kind of set off the craze. It was like we got Armadillidium maculatum, and then these and some of the Spanish Porcelio, and then from there it just all went downhill. Or uphill, depending how you look at it. But the hobby kind of got a lot crazier. That's for sure. But, yeah, give them some of those. Right, next up, got, what are these? What are these? What are those? Oh, these are my Filipino Dillo species Cordova. These guys doing super well. There's a lot of Pyralis attaching the leaf litter to the bark, which is always fun. So now there's barely any Filipino Dillo left on the bark. Also a lot of orbated mites, but they don't seem to care, so that's good. But okay, there's some more of them Filipino Dillo. Pretty variable in coloration, although they start out pretty yellow when they're young and then fade to more of a brown as they age. They're very pretty, somewhat flat species. They definitely get, some Filipino Dillo are like dang near Trogodillo shaped. I would like some of those. I would like one of the flatter Filipino Dillo species. Here's a good cluster of them on this bark. Not bark, egg crate. Poor man's bark. But yeah, they do well for me. Moderate ventilation, moderate to high ventilation and high humidity. And they do pretty well. 1, 2, 3. Piece of dog food. Classic, well, Cubaris species blue pigeon. I like these guys a lot. They're not really, they're blue if they dry out and they start to acquire a bit more of a waxy coating to them. So they don't really seem to like it that dry, so kind of defeats the purpose, but yeah, these are cute. I mostly still keep them because they're named after pigeons, and I love pigeons. Top tier bird, pigeons. Changed my mind. Bark is poor man's egg crate for you. Yeah. See, for me, here it's the reverse. There's no bark. I live in a desert. So, a lot easier for me to get egg crate, and I just buy it in bulk. One of the Filipino Dillo escaped while I was showing them off. Alright, everyone quiet. You hear that? It's Alan's favorite sound. It's crickets chirping. Pigeons are one of the best birds. Yes, they're top tier birds. We love them. We love them. Cute. They're adorable. I love them. I ordered from a website a while back. I pretty much ordered all ice buds. Everything is doing great. I love the amber fireflies. Yeah, they're really nice. The light color form amber fireflies really hardy, and they do better for me than the normal amber fireflies, which is kind of interesting. I feel like they also are slightly broader in build, so I really do wonder if those two are even the same species. These are my armadillo species Israel. I don't even see any of them in here at the moment. I think they're all burrowed down, so I'll just leave them be. Just got these from Kyle recently, so none of them are adults yet, but hopefully sometime this year I'll have adults to show off. These are one of the larger armadillo in the hobby, and also probably undescribed. This. These are my Kibar species bumblebees, which I just rehoused these fairly recently. Kinda haven't really took their bin apart in a while, hoping they're doing fine. There's a dead one, but then here's a live one. These guys are super cute, very vibrant yellow guys. Love them. These guys do seem to benefit from the color enhancing fish food pellets. I definitely noticed they got more yellow when I started feeding them that. So there's a good cluster here. Kind of digging through here. I haven't really checked up thoroughly on these guys in a while. I'm seeing some here and there, but it's hard to tell if they're growing or number or not. Which is mostly what I want to see. Problem with these guys too is they burrow more than a lot of the hobby Cubaris do, so kind of hard to gauge their population numbers just from looking under the bark. I remember when I was rehousing them. Okay, there's some babies under this one. When I was rehousing them, it was kind of difficult to find them all because they were all hiding in the substrate. But yeah, these guys, super cute. And there is a baby under this piece of bark on the substrate, so that's a good sign. So hopefully all is well. Just lift up one more piece of bark. Okay. Alright, well, I only saw one dead one and I see a couple babies, so hopefully that means everything is good in this new bin. Give them some of that there. Fish food pellets. And these guys seem to prefer it more on the humid side, but decently ventilated. Lastly, for that stack, we got Kibar species rubber bee. Also just rehoused these, because their old bin was getting icky, and it was smaller than this one, so They should have a big old population boom in here. There's one of them right there. Focus. Come on. And these guys also benefit from the beta carotene. I did notice they were starting to wash out in color when I stopped feeding them that. And now they're looking more yellow. They're like a nice like dandelion yellow. These guys, I do enjoy them. Pretty cute little cubaris, and when conditions are optimal, they tend to be pretty prolific. And I am seeing some babies on the substrate, so that's good. These guys should start popping off here pretty soon, now that they got fresh substrate and a bigger bin. And new leaf litter. So, it's all good. Is that good? Yes. Maybe a little bit more around those ventilation areas. All right. Good, good, good. And I can start to put some of this back up here. I believe as well. We'll just put these to the side, and then let's get these. More Panchlora. We got Panchlora species hobby. These need a substrate refresh, but even so, they are still doing quite well. Beautiful, beautiful green on these guys. I really like these classic Panchlora, previously misidentified as Nivea. We don't know what they are, actually, but these are the OG hobby banana roaches. But yeah, really nice green on these. And they are among the more hardy of the Panchlora too, in my experience. Again, their bin's kind of icky, but I mean, a lot of adults, and I'm seeing a lot of newborns in here, which can be kind of the problem, because then it's a pain to change out the substrate when there's so many little babies to sift through in the existing substrate. But hey, they're doing pretty well as it is. There's some fruit, and give them a little bit of dog food. Again, I do find the Panchlora mostly like fruit. These are my Parcobata Uluriana from Allen. These are the black ones, which unfortunately they seem to have some ick. I think they have serratia, which is kind of annoying. Thankfully, though, that's better than fungal issues. That's a lot harder to cure in these guys, but basically, I have one adult female that recently matured. Looks like a sub-female or two, though one of those females is kind of grody looking. I don't know if she'll make it to the next molt. And there's a couple sub-males, one of which looks like it's about to molt. So hopefully that guy hurries up, matures, mates with the adult female that's already in here. And then I can get a next generation. And then probably isolate out some of those ooths and start them in a new bin to make sure they don't transfer whatever serratia or whatever these guys have. Yeah, fingers crossed. Alright. And then lastly, well, actually, it looks like I need to go and refill this water jug, so I'll be right back. Is there something I can leave you with, though? Not really. Alright, well, I'll be right back. Be right back. Ayabok. Alright, let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Didn't know speckles were still in the hobby. Acreage expensive. I went back too far. Alan getting angry at the crickets. Excellent. I saw one of your shorts today ago. Day or so ago, your Leo Celli's Australasia had babies. Congratulations. Do you plan to sell any of the babies? Maybe. Maybe. She did give birth to a lot more than I thought she was going to. I've seen a lot of people showing pictures of their Leo Celli's with babies, and it's like half a dozen. And she gave birth to like 16 or 17, so I might. I kind of want to let them molt a few times and just see just how communal they are. And if they are pretty dang communal and they're not eating each other, then I might sell a couple of them. But if they are a little bit more antagonistic towards each other, I might hold this whole litter back just to ensure I have a good next generation. But then again, she might. I mean, she gave birth pretty quickly. I don't know how long it takes them to recover between broods, but you know, if she continues on this streak of popping out large litters, it might not hurt to sell a few from each. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Still deciding on that. Convinced these need seasonal cues to molt properly, and if you don't give them that, they end up having molting problems and die. Often end up with deformity during molt too. What, the Illyriana? Probably. I mean, a lot of the Parcoblata do. It seems like you can break that in a lot of the Parcoblata, but it takes a bit, and usually it's best to do that when you have a bunch to lose. But yeah, hopefully they've been broken in long enough that if I can just get another generation out of the Illyriana, then I can get them through it. And again, right now I think it's more so that they have some sort of serratia. So it's looking like the way their exoskeleton texture is kind of crinkly. Some of them have some red spotting on them, which is frustrating because it's not a very specific cue. Because I'll notice spotting, abnormal spotting on the cuticles of invertebrates can either mean they have entomophagus fungus or serratia. These aren't great. Speaking of entomophagus fungus, this is a... Is that hatched already? Yes. These are my Illyriana, Parcoblata Illyriana Bibb County, which their main colony seems to be contracting a entomophagus fungus. I don't know how. Their bin is micromeshed, but so I isolated out a bunch of ooths into this little deli cup here, and then they've been hatching and crawling out, and so now there's a bunch of nymphs hiding around in there. Dozens. So it's a fungus-free Illyriana culture here. But yeah, I don't know why they keep the Bibb County ones keep getting freaking, it looks like a trichoderma mold that kills them off. Ugh. Alright, and then these are my Panestia angustipennis spatica, which to you guys is just a big old tub of dirt. Rotten wood mostly. There's one right in, a couple down in there. If you can see them digging, there's some down in there. These are pretty big black subspecies of angustipennis. Nymphs don't have any patterning to them, they're just black. And so are the adults, so they're pretty cool. And I have seen that I moved them to this bin fairly recently, and they popped out a couple broods shortly afterwards, so seems like they are doing good. But yeah, just stay in the course with these, and hopefully I'll be able to start offering them up eventually. A couple pieces of dog food. Excuse me. I'll give them a little bit of apple. Just a little. But yeah, of the Angustipena subspecies, these seem to be one of the more slower growing and breeding ones. Took them quite a while to start reproducing, but we've had some success. That's good. That's always good. Sindri. Hey, Sindri. More maintenance stream. Yes. I'm trying to get some of those years. Gotcha. If you do decide to sell some even from future broods, I'll definitely get a few from you. Sounds good. Hopefully, I get to that point. And I am pretty sure, if not from this brood, then hopefully she gives birth again sometime this year. So I'm sure I'll have some available sooner than later. These are my newly acquired Porcellio ornatus high yellow. These come from Spencer Thornton, who got them from Orrin McMonagle. I just posted the unboxing videos for these today. But these are really nice high yellow strain, pure. My last high yellow ornatus acquisition turned out to be, looks like a locality cross between the high yellows and the Nord line. Ironic because the Nord line is now pretty much impossible to find. But yeah, it's a filthy locality cross, so I don't really want that. I want the pure, the nice high yellow ornatus. So these guys are the real deal. So hopefully they pop off. Well, Spencer was saying they were a bit more on the finicky side for him. So we'll see how they do for me. And speaking of Spencer, these are my Labradora Riparia Imperial Dunes, which I was supposed to trade him for, but when it came time to ship them, I noticed my colony had had a little bit of a crash, which is very unfortunate. I think I kept them a little too damp. Is the main thing, so now I'm going to set them up on a little bit more of a gradient, and they may have also run out of live food, so I recently dumped in some Compsodies in here, and it looks like they're already kind of gone through them, so I will probably feed them some more Compsodies here shortly. There's still some in here. I'll leave them be for now. Alright, what next? These, also just posted the unboxing video for these. These are Arnavaga species Box Canyon from Alan. And probably not going to show them off here because they're all still nymphs. But these guys are pretty neat. It will hopefully be something new that I don't have. As far as Arnavaga species go, they seem to be kind of unique. Alright, I will show off one of the nymphs. Here you go. Look at that. Cute. So, but Alan thinks they're something. They look a little unique. So we'll see. Once we get adult males and he can dissect them, then we'll know for sure. That's good for those. And then these are the Arnavaga genitalis Butcher Jones Recreation Area, Arizona. These guys, pretty cool, pretty rad. There's a nice adult male right there. You can see. See if I can show him off. I like these. These are very stereotypical, not very typical genitalis. Got the big blotches on the pronotum. Nice heavy modeling on the wings. Really nice genitalis strain. So glad I got these going. They've been breeding pretty well. See what the comments. What was the Penestia name? Penestia angustipennis. Why am I blanking on the name? Spatica. Penestia angustipennis spatica was the big black angustipennis subspecies, which I think I'm the only one in the U.S. with them at the moment. But hopefully that will change. I love Ornatus, Purnatus. My culture ended up dying out, but I definitely want to try them again sometime. Yeah, they're really cool. I really do like them. They have a very cylindrical but robust build to them, and they're kind of glossy too. And which most of the Porcelia are fairly matte in texture, so it's cool to see one that's a bit more glossy. How many Aranavaga are there? I think there's like 40 something described species, and then we've been finding lots of undescribed ones as well. So there's a lot, probably like 50 to 60 species. If you count all the undescribed ones that are probably out there. So yeah, pretty cool. Did a pseudomops just fly out, or was that a moth? Was that a pseudomops flight on camera? I didn't see where it went. I'll have to watch that footage. There's a moth, okay. That's what I thought. I've never seen pseudomops attempt flight. I know they can, but I've never seen it. So, that'd be kind of crazy. These are the Cleveland, Oklahoma pseudomops septentrionalis. I also have the San Antonios. I showed those off the other stream. San Antonio Pseudomops septentrionalis, which those have been in culture since 2016. One of my friends collected them in San Antonio, and we've kept them going since then. But these are a more recent addition. I think Ben Groover introduced these to the hobby. Ben Groover the goat. So, yeah, pretty nice line. Very similar to the Texas ones. I would love one of the strains. There's some septentrionalis lines out there that produce adults with darker pronotums, some black markings in the red, and I would love some of those. Have yet to see any enter culture from those localities, but that would be really cool. These are my Eurycotus species. Isle de Margarita. Isle de Margarita, Venezuela. These guys. Super cute. Cute little, very chill Eurycotus species. And their defensive spray smells really good. It smells so much like cherry amaretto. It's so good. But yeah, I like these guys a lot. They're very chill. Very chill and very underrated. You can see all the Pseudocynella violenta springtails in there. Doing really well. Yeah, I just rehoused these guys as well. Their old bin was Pyralis Heaven. And now, this new bin, Pyralis free. No Pyralis whatsoever. Alright, they become noticeably less chill when you spray them down. But, you know, it's kind of to be expected. I see that there's one under the lip here. You wanna make my life a little easier for me? No? Okay. I'm gonna put that on and then gimme. There we go. Got him. Get you. Nope. Wrong way. There we go. Oh, come on. Okay, now they're trying to prove me wrong here. Like, we're not that chill. No, you were. Okay, there you go. Perfect. Yeah, these guys also prefer more dry conditions compared to other Eurycotus, so I just water this back quarter and then I leave the rest dry. And pretty decently ventilated. So glossy. Yeah, they are so glossy. Groover the goat brought those in. Crazy to hear after learning mine are the Cleveland locality. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he mentioned, because I got these from Tennyson, but then I was talking to Ben Groover separately, and he offered them in trade. I'm like, oh, I already have them. And he's like, oh, cool. I was the one who caught those originally. I was like, oh, neat. Moth. How many Arnavaga? There's a ton of Arnavaga on the site that keep calling to me. They should. They're really cool. I love Arnavaga. They really adorable. Adorable, so variable in coloration. Even just different locales of the same species, you know, can look quite different from each other. So, definitely a genus more people need to get into. And most of them aren't that difficult. Some are difficult, but most of the ones I offer right now are fairly easy. Not really sure, but some of your pets look like roaches. Yeah, some of them. Like 2/3 of them, maybe. Everyone like the stream, like Spike. Oh, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Got mine in an Insta giveaway from his dad. Tennyson told me the locality info. Yeah. Tennyson and William are also goated. These are my Phortioeca foraspoides. These have been breeding very slowly, but they have been breeding. I did just find more newborns the other day. I only have 2 females and like a bunch of males, so that kind of has slowed down the reproduction. But let's see. And there's also a ton of freaking Compsodies in here. All right, there's none on that bark. I do want to show these off though because they're really cool. These are one of the newer additions to culture from. There we go. Let's see. These guys. I really do love these guys. You can see there's a nymph going haywire up here. Yeah, mostly males, so only a couple females in here. But they have been breeding, and the nymphs are doing okay. So, just going to be a bit of a waiting game till I have a big enough culture to start offering these up. But they are breeding, and they are on the up and up. But yeah, these guys, super cool. I love these. These are much smaller than Phortioeca peruana, but what they lack in size, they make up for in a much more unique morphology, in my opinion. These also do seem to prefer more humid conditions than peruana. I keep noticing that most of the nymphs are clustered at the bark that's like right touching the substrate, basically. So I might need to up the humidity in here a bit. Let's try to get all this arranged back how it should be. This guy's a little messed up. That is the thing with Phortioeca. The males do love beating each other up. So this guy's wings are all messed up. He's missing a couple feetsies as well. But he's still enduring. Alright, so let's get them. Here's the apple. Put that up here. And then put the bowl back. And fill that with some dog food. Alright, then just a light misting of the sides and bark, and then more heavily mist the substrate. Pump my sprayer up. There we go. See that guy chowing down on the apple already. Alright. Those back. I should probably switch those over to micro mesh ventilation here soon. A lot of things need to be switched over to micro mesh ventilation. So many bins, not enough time. But I am making sure all the new bins I set up are ventilated at the very least, so not adding to the problem. I once found something that looked like an Arnavaga inside a landscape sprinkler valve thing. Yeah, that that is where you can find them in a lot of the areas where they are native to. They usually live in like rodent burrows or like underneath accumulations of debris, but in lieu of some of that habitat, I believe Kyle and Alan have found them hiding out in those water boxes, which is pretty funny. A neat example of nature trying to reclaim some of what we've taken away from them. We put in our own infrastructure and they're adapting it for their own use. I think Aranavaga boliana are often found underneath the crawl space in houses as well. There's a lot of dusty, loose substrate under there. Kind of perfect for them. So, yeah, pretty cool. Those are so pretty. Yep. Those might have been Aranavaga. Kyle found some, yet by checking water meter boxes, yeah. Water meter boxes, sprinkler boxes, you know, any, container that's been thrust into the dirt and is pretty shaded is going to potentially be of use to them. These are my Lobopterella dimodiotypes. These I should probably move to something bigger, but, I mean, there's tons of them up in there, all the way down this paper towel tube. Super cute. Super cute. Yeah, I'll probably move these to like one of these old peanut butter jars here in the near future. This is my Hygrodsesmidae species Kodakinabalu container. These are my last few male Parkoblata divisa black park crossing stock. Unfortunately, these did not breed. The females matured before any of the males did, and there was a male of the Parkoblata divisa pennsylvanica form, which they're two different. The blacks and the pennsylvanica form divisa are two different species, evidently. And I got video of the male of this pennsylvanica form courting the black females in here, because I thought they were the same species because the male was black, but apparently not the same species, because I identified and separated them out as nymphs, so wasn't able to tell if they were the same species or not till they matured. And but that male was trying to court those females, and I never saw him hook up with them, but they definitely were like nibbling at the offering of the secretion they produce underneath their wings that they use to entice the females. So it was interesting. There was some courting behavior between those two species, but ultimately were not able to hybridize, which makes sense. They were found sympatrically in the wild, so probably have some natural hybridization barriers. And he was also like significantly larger than them, because the black phenotype seems to be smaller. But yeah, so that's a bummer. Unfortunately, not going to be able to breed that species. All I have left are some subadult males, but oh well, a valiant effort. These are my Archimandrida CF tessellata Panama. These big beauties. Look at that. What a monster. What a monster. So cool. So I just have a pair of these, and they are both mature now, so here's hoping they reproduce. I also have a Kibara species Platentungsong in here. Someone sent me these as a freebie in a trade, and I just threw them in this bin. And they're doing pretty well. They've been breeding. And I think I also just recently threw in some Sinortoides, my last 3 Sinortoides quadrispinosa in here, because I got fed up trying to breed those and didn't really want to devote springtails to them, so I just threw them in this bin. Thought they stopped producing offspring, so I assumed they were a unisex group, and expected them to just live out their days here and not breed or anything. And I started finding baby Sinertoides. So that is pretty funny. Here's one of them. So they are breeding in here, so yay, they continue to stay in my collection. Cool. Woo. Yeah, I mean, they're cool. They're just, These and Libidioides, I've lost a love for them just because they're annoying. But they are very pretty. But, like, enough people keep these, I feel, that I don't really feel the need to breed them myself, but they are breeding themselves now in this bin, so whatever. Who knows, maybe the population will actually stay stable in here if the springtails don't get eaten all up. You know, if them being in here with the Archimandrita gets their numbers boosted enough to withstand being eaten by Sinertoides, then who knows. Alright, there's that. I think I'll mist it a little bit more around the edges. Yeah, really hoping these Archimandrita breed, because apparently very precious few of them left here in the U.S. A few of the people that had them seem to have lost their cultures, so that's no bueno. Love the Harvestman. Found a Pygrodesmidae from a begonia. I bought it at a reptile expo. It appears to be the same species. Yeah, well, the thing with Pygrodesmidae is that there's a lot of species, and they all look identical, which is why mine remain at family level identification. Because, yeah, they all look the same to me. So, could be a different species. Could be same genus, who knows. That could be different species. Or it could be the same. No idea. Mine came as hitchhikers in an import from Malaysia years ago. Ugh. And I've had them going ever since. Right, these are my Arenovaga Pisca, which unfortunately I don't think I'm going to be able to breed. I think it's 3 nymphs, and I think two of them are Investigata, and one's a different species. And the Investigata of the 2 that are in here, one of them, I think it's a pair, but I think the male is on his way out for some reason. Or at least he's missing. He's lost some leg parts, but there he is. So if he makes it another molt, and can regrow some of those legs and whatever was stressing him out, stop stressing him out, then maybe. But I'm not holding my breath. Yeah, then here's this. I don't think this is Investigata. I don't know what this male is. But, yeah, so I don't think anything's going to come of this bin, but we'll see. Yeah, unfortunately, I also had an Investigata from Borrego Springs, but, well, I had a male Investigata from Borrego Springs and 2 females that, to me, didn't really look like Investigata, and it turns out they probably weren't, because they matured at the same time that male did, but they never laid any fertile ooths at all, and they ended up passing somewhat recently. So I think the male was an Investigata, and the females were a different species. So, unlucky with that. Been getting kind of unlucky with some of these California Arenovaga lately. Just in terms of weird things like that. Like getting a small group and then there's 2 species mixed together and not enough to breed either of them. Which might be about to happen again with the, I got the Arenovaga species from Amboy, California, and I just on stream a couple days ago noticed that it is 2 different species of Arenovaga in there. One is Investigata and one is a different one, so I don't know if I'll have enough of both species to breed them, but I'll try my darndest. So yeah, we'll see. I guess them's the breaks. That's the expression. Them's the breaks when it comes to Arenovaga. A lot of them can be found sympatrically with each other. It's pretty common, actually. There's been several strains collected by Kyle and Allen that ended up being 2 different species found in the same area, in the same like hide, you know, in the wild. So kind of crazy. But, you know, when that happens, and if you don't grab enough of them, you might end up with, you know, all males of one species and females of another, or vice versa. These are Aranavaga species from Phoenix, Arizona, which had a bunch of males mature out. And Ellen, if you're listening, I did freeze one for you, so gotta send that to you at some point. These are probably Tonkawa. Probably they're smaller than the other Tonkawa though, and the males are much prettier. And the females are much prettier too. But they are the most similar. The thing they're most similar to are other Arizonian Tonkawa. So they might just be a unique line of Tonkawa. If they're not, then they're probably undescribed. So yeah, I did get a male frozen up for you. So I lost these last year, but thankfully I did send them to Kyle at some point, and he got a culture going, no problem. So I was able to get a bunch back from him, and now they seem to be doing well. And this is failed Stenotris puertoricensis bin. These were not the Key Largo, these were the Archbold ones from Kyle. I got a few off of him, and I don't think they took. I think that I've been lied to. I don't think they eat dwarf purple isopods at all. I don't think they eat isopods at all. And I think that when there are enough isopods in with them, they get stressed out and die. So going forward, I'm only going to feed Stenotris springtails. Then when they were doing well for me, that's all I gave them. And then I was recommended putting in dwarf isopods with them, and that's when everything went downhill. So, even though it's much easier to provide them dwarf isopods than the springtails at the moment, again, Kyle's supposed to send me some more Stenotris here in this, hopefully next week. And I will set those up in a new bin with only springtails, no isopods. And hopefully then I can actually get those breeding for me again. Freeze two males if possible? Okay. Sometimes their fellow refuse to separate during dissection. If I made a mistake, they break. And okay. I should be able to spare another male to freeze, so I'll do that here later. These are my Pistolplatia orientalis, by the way. These guys. A lot of baby orientalis. Here's a female. Okay. Get her in the camera. There's a lot of Compsodies in here, too. Crawling up my arms. Yeah, these are the red and black roaches. This is a particularly rotund female. She is super gravid, my god. Jeez Louise. But yeah, these guys, really nice species. And they do pretty well for me. I keep them a little bit drier than some of the other rhabdoblatinids, but like definitely not dry by any means, but a little bit more of a humidity gradient. I mostly spray this side down and just lightly spray this side. But yeah, I think they, more than anything, they like high air humidity, but maybe not so wet of a substrate. Even though they are semi-aquatic in the wild, I think more so than the humidity, it's just if it's too wet, the substrate gets like icky and gross a lot faster, and they really don't like icky or gross substrate. If it's a little drier, substrate tends to rot, it tends to degrade not as quickly, and doesn't like stick to their feed or fester with anaerobic bacteria nearly as much. So ironically, keeping the semi-aquatic roach too moist can cause them to die if conditions aren't optimal in terms of the cleanliness. And they produce a lot of waste, so it's hard to get that balance right if you're keeping them moist, too moist. And forget about keeping them semi-aquatically, because they will foul that water so fast. And they usually live by streams, you know, not stagnant bodies of water. So any of the semi-aquatic rhabdoblatinids or epilamprids, really, you should never keep them with a water feature. You're gonna have to. It's gonna have a really good filter and be moving water if you do, and that's probably gonna be more trouble than it's worth when they do just fine without water. This is my old Troglodylo species white tiger setup, and now it's my secondary lemon blue culture. Weirdly, these guys are not as lemony as they are in my other culture, but I feed them the same. There's more Nocticola in here, though. I wonder if they're eating up all the fish food pellets before the isopods can get to it. But, yeah, because the Troglodylo didn't do well in this setup. So I'm just setting up a secondary satellite culture of the lemon blues, because why not? They're popular. And, one of the few isopods I wouldn't mind having 2 colonies of. They're really pretty. I think I need to add some lid ventilation, though. And these, I forgot to show these off. These are my Christarmadillidium muricatum. A little spiky pineapple isopod, or whatever people call them. Spanish spiky isopods. Really cute little guys. But yeah, those guys, easy peasy, well ventilated, and I keep them pretty humid. Alright, what we got here? Cost and interest aren't the same locality as the ones I sent. Yeah, I know. Kyle's are Archibald and yours were Key Largo. Man, I can't not be late to your stream. Well, thanks for coming at all. I appreciate it. Nocticola are most likely eating it all, lol. Yeah, I mean, they probably are definitely competing with that. But I have a decent bit of Nocticola in my other lemon blue culture, and those ones are still much more lemony, so weird. The ones in this bin must be extra ravenous. And other way around? I'm pretty... No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Kyle's were Key Largo, and yours are Archibald. Yeah, my bad. These are my Parahormetica bilobata, which I had a male mature, and then the other 3 are just staying nymphs, and none of them have matured yet. Here's another. It's a nymph. But, kind of hoping one of the females matures soon so I can get them breeding. Which I need to get some good pictures of this guy. But these are the Parahormetica bilobata from Brazil. Super beautiful species. Love these guys. Super cool. These are pretty dang new to the hobby. I think they only exist in U.S. culture at the moment. Finally got one over on them Europeans and Asian hobbyists. We got something before they did. Wow. Crazy. Usually they are the first to get anything new, and then they give it over to us eventually. But we beat them this time. But yeah, these guys, super cool. Love these. Really can't wait till they start breeding. Lovely, lovely species. TJ, what do you say to the Coco Coir haters? You know, haters gonna hate. Stay mad, I guess. I need a sponsorship from the big cocoa fiber. They need to, for all the work I've done for them, and the fact that I almost exclusively use it as my substrate of choice. Um, yeah, no. I mean, for some people it's not their ideal substrate. For me, it is. And, different substrates and different husbandry methodologies work differently for different people based on all sorts of variables. Heck, even the brand of cocoa fiber you get can be like vastly different. The different brands are pretty different from each other sometimes. Some are way too coarse or too fibrous. Some come inoculated with all sorts of nasty fungi. But the same can be said for any substrate you choose, always going to be variables. And just for me, cocoa fiber has worked pretty well, and really can't complain. It's very cost efficient, and I know how to work with it. I've been working with it for, over a decade, so yeah, it works for me. But if it doesn't work for someone else, then by all means, try something else. But, it's definitely not as horrible a substrate as a lot of people make it out to be. And I do think there is some bias with certain people, disparaging coconut fiber or other commercially available substrates and happening to sell their own special substrate mixes. I feel like there's a little bit of a bias there sometimes. But yeah. Let's see here. That was gorgeous. H. Bruneri. Like golden honey. Crying in the corner. Aspidicious too. Yes, no. Those are great. I already showed those off the day before yesterday, though, Alan. Well, you were there for the Bruneri birth. But, yeah, we also got those before the Europeans or Asians did. And now they gotta get them from us. And they will, I'm sure. But finally got something to hold over them. Crazy, the Americans getting species from the Americas, right? Before people overseas. Crazy. It's almost like we're closer to South and Central America and Puerto Rico. Crazy. These are leaves for... No leaves. Just cocoa fiber. Nothing but cocoa fiber for the Parahormetica. Maybe they'll get some leaves if they end up not breeding without them, but I feel like they probably won't need them. These are Cubaris species cherry blossom. Just showed these off today. These are on my Instagram and Facebook reels. I think I uploaded that to YouTube today too. But these are the Isorares line of Cubaris species cherry blossom. Very pretty, very vibrant, beautiful pink. Love these guys. Yeah. Get that misted down. These do seem to like it a bit more humid. I tried giving them a gradient, but they only stay on the moist side, so I kind of feel like I'm just going to start keeping everything more moist. But still pretty well ventilated. They're already going through their leaf litter pretty fast. I gotta give them some more. These guys, I don't know what to do with them. These are the, Isopoda species shiny gator. And these things are just not breeding. There's no way with the amount that Kyle sent me that I have all males. There's just no way. But they're not breeding or anything. I mean, it could be all females too, but I haven't seen any babies. They are growing pretty slowly. I feel like they still might not even be full grown. But gosh, they are taking their time. I swear, if this ends up being a unisex group, I'm gonna be pissed. There's just no way I could be that unlucky. He sent a good amount. He sent like 10 of them. So, I mean, I would have to be pretty unlucky to end up with only one sex. And they were pretty small when he sent them too, so it's not like, you know, with Armadillidia maculatum, the males tend to be a lot more surface active, so if you only grab adults and you only grab them from the surface of the substrate, they're probably all going to be males. But these he sent as young'uns, so shouldn't have been any of that weirdness going on. So I don't know, they just do not want to breed. Should probably add a little bit more leaf litter in here too. They've degraded it a bit, but there's still quite a bit of leaf fragments on top of the substrate. But still, yeah, nothing. I mean, and they haven't had any die-offs or anything. They're all in here. They've been pretty hardy, but they're just not reproducing yet. And I feel like it's been long enough. But the only thing breeding in here right now are the Nocticola. But I guess I'll keep waiting. I really do like these. They're really, really cool looking little guys. But yeah, so far, no babies. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Seasonal, maybe? They just like me, for real, for real. No, they shouldn't be seasonal. I mean, it's a Southeast Asian species, right? So it's pretty warm and humid year-round. Shouldn't really be anything going on there. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We will see. I'll just keep waiting. They do just keep getting bigger and bigger, so maybe they've just not been full-size, sexually mature yet. Who knows? Alright, and then I'll give them a little bit of that. We got the regular Cubar species. Oh no, these are Cubar species amber, not amber firefly. These, unfortunately, I think I only have males left. Unfortunately. I had them going for quite a while, but then I think at one point, I moved them to this bin before I put micromesh, and I think I gave them a little too much ventilation, and I kept them too hot. And now they're a bit more, because they do like it warm, but I don't think they like it quite as warm and dry as I was keeping them. So I moved them, you know, I changed the ventilation up, I moved them to a lower shelf, but alas, I only have males left, so I'm gonna have to get more somehow from somebody. But, yeah, unfortunate. These guys were breeding very well for me at one point, and then they just kind of piddled out due to one variable or another. But, and now the ones in here are doing fine. There haven't been any die-offs, but they're all male. They're all male. So, oh well. What are you gonna do? The adults of Nocticola, or however you spell it, please. Yeah, those were adults of Nocticola. They're pretty small, teeny little species. But they expanded wood pellet, sawdust, leaf litter, and wood chunks for my Parahermetica as of 3 or 4 weeks ago, and no adults yet like my Hermetica setup. Yours are doing great. Yeah. Hopefully yours start maturing soon. I think it's probably just mine being kept a little warmer. Because this room, I think we talked about that. That a lot of the stuff you and me get when we get it around the same time, my stuff matures faster. Almost certainly just because I'm keeping them warmer. So yours are probably almost there. And again, I only have one adult Parahermetica. The rest are still nymphs. It's actually been a while since they molted, so that's kind of weird. But I'm hoping for more adults here soon. It's freaking Pyralis, man. I swear to God. I swear to God. Alright, these are Cubar species Amber Firefly. These guys. These are the normal Amber Fireflies. see if I can show some off here, hiding underneath the pyralis tubes. So these are neat. I do like the color. I like the coloring on these a lot more than the light color form. They're a lot more orangey, a lot more vibrant. I like the contrast on them a lot more as well. But they do definitely seem to be breeding slower. They are breeding. They are growing in numbers. Slowly but surely. But definitely not breeding as fast as the light color forms. Which is interesting. Yeah, you guys get some of that. Fish food pellets. Seems to color them up more. Kill that pyralis. Might have given these a little too much ventilation. Might swap out this lid with an unventilated one sooner or later. Shiro Utsuris. These, I got these from someone local fairly recently, last year. And they were weird. They bred and then like a bunch of them died off. And then now there's like a dozen of them in here. And they're breeding again, it seems. So hopefully, I don't know what got to them last gen, but they were having some trouble. Which is weird, because these are normally, like, bulletproof. Yeah, oh, look at that. That Noctical was riding that one. But, I mean, I haven't lost them, so they still might be bulletproof, so. As long as there's pairs in here, I'm sure next generation will probably pop off. Not too concerned. It's not like these are rare or anything. But I would like a colony going, because I do like them. I have almost all the other Nisadilla Archangeli at this point, so might as well get these going. I saw something on chat. Can't believe YouTube keeps censoring Aranavaga Genet. Really? That's crazy. I wonder why. Ellen John is visible. Ah! Knocking down my thing. Thanks. I find my Nisadilla tolerate dryness well. Yeah, they tolerate it well. I do find mine like it a little more humid. Might be because my air humidity is so low as well, that they need it a little bit more humid. But I've definitely let them get a little dry here and there, and they seem to tolerate it a-okay. So, overall, not very picky. These are really cool. These are Armadillidium germanicum. Easy Eddie. Edwin at Easy Eddie sent these to me. They mostly stay towards the bark that touches the substrate. These are some smaller ones. Yeah, these guys are really cool. And they seem to mostly hang around where the substrate's fairly moist. But I don't think, supposedly, they don't like the entire enclosure humid, so I keep the middle section pretty dry. Even though I never find them on the dry bark, only the stuff touching the wet. But there's some more there. There's a good amount of them in here already, just under the bark touching the substrate. So these guys have been pretty easy, honestly. Supposedly they don't like it too warm, so I do keep them on one of my lower shelves. And so they're probably only at around 75 Fahrenheit most days. Well ventilated. And again, I got that humidity gradient going for them. These are Armadillidium flavoscutatum. These I'm having a little bit of difficulty with. I'm managing to breed them and keep them self-sustaining, but they're not wanting to explode. And these guys, too, they're mostly staying around where the substrate is moist. But then they also seem to die off if they're kept too humid. So, I'm still figuring these out a little bit, but these are really cute species as well. Pretty surface active armadillidium. But I would like to see more reproduction out of them. But I mean, they're still going, so I'm gonna keep at it and hopefully get their humidity preferences locked in. Let's see, under this piece of bark, there's also a healthy population of pyralis in here. Wouldn't you know it? And there's some more hanging out down there. Looks like I may have overwatered them last time. Most of the substrate is pretty humid, although they are chilling in that more humid substrate. There are some drier areas, and they're all avoiding that like the plague. So maybe I just need to keep them a little bit more humid. That could be the key. Yeah, not really touching. The very center is still dry. There's really not many of them there, but they're in the more moist areas. Might just need to keep these more humid. Again, it's a kind of a frustrating thing. I live in the desert, and it's like, you know, people will recommend certain humidity levels, but often I find I have to keep things wetter than people recommend, because of how dry it is here. It will actually affect them. There's a nice big one. So yeah, these are Armadillidium flavoscutatum. Really cool, red-headed roly-poly. So yeah, I guess I'll keep these a little bit more on the humid side and see how that goes. There's more in here than I thought there were, so that's good. So yeah, I'll just, I guess I'll try that, and we'll see how that goes. Just lay that down, and all of that. I am finding their heads are not nearly as vibrantly red as they look in a lot of photos online. So I am starting to give them the fish food, the color enhancers. See if that changes that. It's like my little secret weapon. My not so secret weapon. Wow, feeding them color enhancing pellets enhances their color? They're crazy. Who would have thunk? These are, I want to say armadillidium. Porcellio flavomarginatus Crete. I like these quite a bit. I kind of would like to have normal flavomarginatus as well, honestly. After keeping these and how easy they are, I wouldn't mind the normals, because those are cooler and a bit higher contrast. But I do like the patterning on these. Kind of got like these flecks of greenish yellow in them. Man, I cannot get these to focus. Okay, that's somewhat decent. So yeah, they're pretty cool. I like the patterning on these. But I like their body morphology, how like wide and flat they are. They're also pretty dang active as well. And they're one of the few Porcellio I've found that actually really, really likes egg crate. You know, a lot of the others will tolerate it and use it sometimes, but always secondarily to bark. But these guys really like the egg crate. So that's a win in my book. Again, with bark being a more scarce supply for me. What do we got here? Need to get Alan to do a stream sometime. Yes, we do. Hey, Kai, what's up? What's up? Yes, you and Alan should do a stream together at some point. That much ventilation is crazy. On what? On which one? The flavomarginatus? Listen, the isopods, they like their ventilation. That's what I've been told. Oy. All your stuff, yeah. Well, okay, but also do keep in mind, like, these are not holes anymore. These are glued up. This is the only ventilation now on this lid. It's still a decent bit, but you know. Nothing gets air holes, according to Alan. Yeah. Yeah, Alan keeps nothing with ventilation, which is kind of crazy. I've tried keeping some stuff like that, but it always ends poorly for me. I get a lot of mite issues when I don't keep things ventilated. Like a lot of grain. I used to get terrible grain mite issues until I started ventilating things more. That was a while ago. Maybe nowadays I wouldn't have as much of an issue. But we all have our methods. Like I was saying earlier, different strokes for different folks. Different husbandry works differently for different people. And Alan has had a great luck keeping a lot of stuff with like no ventilation. But then I think he tends to keep that stuff a little drier than maybe some other people do. So it kind of like equals out. No judgment, but just shocked. Yeah. You know, people always comment on like the holes poked in my containers. Like, oh my god, that must have taken so long. And yeah, it did. It did. I have no life. That's basically comes down to that. This is just a reject Darkling bin, just random stuff that I decided to stop breeding or ran out of both sexes of. So there's just a bunch of random Darklings in here. Would hire you to make mesh in lids. For real, I would hire you to make mesh in lids. Yeah, that has been a lot easier than poking the little holes. But I really should probably get a drill bit to start drilling the holes instead of melting the holes, because I'm not digging the whole melted plastic fumes every time I need to make ventilation. It's starting to be a little sus. I'm thinking maybe I should probably start drilling instead of melting. Probably not the best for my lungs, but I don't smoke. Well, I don't smoke cigarettes, so you know, I figure it evens out. All right, let's see. These are okay. So there's if that's a fucking shed, if that's a cannibalized. No, okay, that is a shed. I'm gonna say. All right, so these are whiteout Porcellio ornatus, but of the individuals my culture produced, only 3 were whiteouts, and they're all female. So I had to take a male, normal, and so I'm gonna cross him to these females, and hopefully it'll prove out. But yeah, whiteout Porcellio ornatus. These are, unfortunately, these were sold to me as, not sold, traded to me as Porcellio ornatus high yellow, but I do think the colony was compromised by Nord's, Nord strain Porcellio ornatus, because a lot of the individuals in that culture do not look like high yellows at all. They look like Nords. So yeah, so it's a locality cross, but a locality cross that has thrown out these guys. So even though it is a locality cross, I mean, it is still a pure species, so I'll at least have a whiteout morph of this species, hopefully. Would be really cool, because I love Porcellio ornatus. They're so cool. And I don't think anyone's isolated this morph in this species yet. At least not within the US. So if I could do it, that would be pretty neat. If only I would move there. Well, I might be in Pennsylvania. That's close enough, right? I love beetles. Surprised you added that much water for those beetles. Well, yeah, the lid is entirely vented. That water will be dried up in like a couple days. Again, it's the I live in a desert. The air humidity here is so low. So with that much ventilation, just a fully open lid essentially, that water, that substrate does not stay wet long at all. So kind of need to hydrate it that much. Nocticola everywhere, yes. Gryloblata? Hold on, it's covered up by Gryloblata when? Well, my last excursion to find Gryloblata a few months ago ended in breaking a part of our car off driving up the mountain to get there, and my mom having a panic attack because it was the road was snowy. Unfortunately, there was not supposed to be snow, but there was, and almost went off the edge because there's no railings on that road, and it's kind of just a sheer drop down off the cliffside. So that and everything was covered in snow, so I couldn't access the habitat of the Gryloblata. So, and there were none wandering about. So I searched there for hours. No Gryloblata, lots of mountain lion prints, fresh ones everywhere. And I was out by myself. I'm the only one that left the car. And I had to hike 2 miles from where we parked the car to get to the spot where the Gryloblata were supposed to be. So it was kind of a huge disaster, and I didn't find anything. I might get to go again here now that things are thawing out a little bit. It's still pretty cool. I think it just snowed there again the other day, but hopefully before it gets too hot, I do want to go back up there. I might get one of my friends to drive me up there. He has a truck, so it'll have an easier time with it. And I'll look again for the Idaho Gryloblata, but hey, we'll see. We will see. Ain't no way, another live. Hey, yep, this is the last one of the week. Because this is the last day of maintenance of the week. Alright, these are club sodas, but the main thing in here are, okay. If anyone has any tips on these, I'd appreciate it. Where are they? Oh, there's one. I just dug them out recently, and I haven't lost any as far as I'm aware. And I sexed them out, and I have both sexes. The Spherillo species orange soda pop or whatever. These guys, really cool. I have a decent group, like 10 to 12 of them, both sexes. They're not breeding, and it's been a while. Any tips? I keep them, again, the ventilation's here, this mesh, mesh on that side, and then mesh on the lid. I'm kind of thinking I might need, oh, good night, Kai. Thanks for hopping in. I'm almost thinking I might need to decrease the ventilation. I always find them in the most moist parts. Yeah, there's a couple more on this where most of them are hiding. Right there. But yeah, like, they're doing fine. They're just not breeding. And I know I have both sexes. So, I don't know what they want from me. I'm keeping them pretty cool, too, because I think these and the Hainan Black seem to prefer cooler conditions. As far as the Spherillo go. But lots of leaf litter, you know, bark. They got multiple layers of bark to hide under. Just no babies, and I'm kind of wondering what they want from me. I had them on a humidity gradient, but then I was only finding them in the most moist areas, so then I made the entire enclosure humid. The only thing I can think of is maybe I need to decrease ventilation more, because the air humidity might not be high enough, but I don't know, man. They're kind of throwing me for a loop. If anyone has had success with those and has any tips, let me know. But kind of at a loss. What are these? Oh, these are the autumnal equinox Porcella expansus. These I need to move to a bigger bin and a cooler bin because I have been finding there's been a little bit of die-off. I don't think expanses like it warm at all. Much above 75, and I start to notice issues with mine. So, probably here within the next couple weeks, I'm going to get these moved to one of the bigger bins that my other expanses are in. But there's a decent amount in here, so I'm not too concerned. Yeah, I really want some of the locality info. Expansis. That would be really neat. The Lacenias, especially. Big orange bordered expanses, but with black uropods. I think I saw in one of the isopod groups someone got isolated out a pretty bright orange morph as well of one of the lines. Like where the center of their bodies were orange, but more orange than like the autumnal equinox. So those would be cool if they ever make it over here. Black-ribbed Porcellio succinctus. I would also really like those. Really, a lot of the Spanish Porcellio are so underrated here in the States. They're some of the cooler ones. I like those a lot more than the Cubaris and other Southeast Asian pods. I think Nocticola are stressing them out. For the orange Spherillo, I don't think so. I haven't really had any isopods stressed out by the micro roaches. I just haven't observed. If they were stressed out by the constant tactile contact, they would probably be moving around a bit more, kind of elevating their bodies off the hides more. You know, constantly rubbing their legs as if they're trying to clean something off. That's kind of the stuff I'll observe from species that are stressed by constant tactile contact. And also, if they were stressed out about that, they probably would have died by now. I've had them for like 6 months, maybe more, and they still haven't. I don't think any of them have died, and most of them are pretty small when I got them, and they've all made it to sexual maturity now. They're just not breeding, so that's the confusing part. It's like they're not stressed out enough to be dying off or anything. They're just not reproducing, so it's like there's some trigger missing, and I'm not sure what it is. These are possible hybrid Porcellio laevis to Porcellio dilatatus. I have sent these off for examination, and the person noted they do look a little weird, and they're gonna genetically analyze them to compare them to pure laevis, and we'll see what they are. But these were sent to me by Laura of Smugbug. She noticed she had mixed caramel Porcellio laevis with Porcellio dilatatus, and she started noticing ones that looked a little funny, and she's like, I think I may have hybridized them, so she sent them to me, and they mostly look like laevis to me, but they do look a little weird, and they looked weirder when I first got them, but now they seem to be more normal. I think they were just dehydrated or had some bacterial infection, and their exoskeletons were a little crinkly because of that, but since then in my care they've mostly just look like laevis, but I sent them off to a taxonomist, or taxonomist to look at them, and they noted that they did look weird. Their Telsons, I think they said, looked more like dilatatus than laevis, but then they examined them a little closer under the microscope and said they do mostly look like laevis, so they are going to genetically analyze them, and we'll see. They might just be weird laevis, or they might be hybrids. We'll see. And if they are hybrids, that would be pretty significant, because that would be a good documented case of it finally, but happening in isopods. But we'll see. It is being worked on right now, so we'll figure it out. What are these? These are Parcoblata divisa. I thought they were a pure just divisa type colony, but it turns out I did have some of the Pennsylvanica type in here as well, so it is both phenotypes. But I have pure cultures of both going now, so these I'm probably going to get fed off here eventually. But just making sure the pure divisa type get going in their own bin, and once they do, then I'll feed these off to my assassin bugs, because they definitely like Parcoblata. And then these are the Parcoblata Illyriana Bib county bin that is fungus infestation, but again, I'm just kind of making sure the ooths I isolated out and those resulting nymphs establish well in their own enclosure, and then these will be culled off. But yeah, you can see like, oh, most of them, they look fine. But then you lift the thing and there's like, you see the dead ones. You see that one covered in trichoderma right down there. I don't even want to touch it, but yeah, they'll die off. And at first the die off seems very minimal, but then more and more die off. And you start seeing nymphs with more spotting on them, on their exoskeletons. And you see that you can tell living ones are being infected. And so then you just gotta nuke the colony at that point. So these are just maintaining them until I'm sure I got a healthy colony going, and then they'll be destroyed. I'm gonna go wash my hands now, because for obvious reasons. I could use the Divisa and Pennsylvanica. Oh, you want them? The mix? Even if they're mixed? I can send you a bunch of them, yeah. Anything else you're downsizing on? Gynecaphorum, I kind of need to cull a bunch of those off. That was too fast. Wash them again. Just a light wash. Again, don't think I even got much on me, but I used soap. It's fine. Yeah, no, Alan, I'll send those to you if you want them. Again, just gonna make sure I got good cultures of both going, and then yeah, I'll send you. I'll cup up a bunch of them and send them your way. Send them back. These are my Stignoma. No, I keep saying Stignoma. Neoscotomelon spinifer. The darker ones. Okay, well, they instantly started hiding. There you go. There's one. Really cool little dwarf harvestman. Get those misted. Neosporin ointment. Those look bigger than the BPKs. Slightly bigger, but so are the, I think the normal red ones from Flamingo are also bigger than the BPKs. The big BPKs are definitely the smallest of the Neoscotomelon spinifer we have. These are, I think Bakersfield, California, Armadillidium vulgar. I was like sent a random female by someone along with some millipedes by Bryce. Shout out to Bryce if you're listening. And ended up producing a bunch of offspring, and I moved them to their own bin. I like vulgar, and sometimes with these wild ones, you know, you get some weird morphs popping up in them over time. So you never know what could pop up. These are, I'm blanking on the name. What is the name? Australophilosia societatis, yes. Yes, these guys. Little fast-moving, tiny little isopods. Pretty cute. These ones are from Maui, Hawaii. Pretty cute little guys. I think they probably have decent cleaner and or feeder potential. Certainly quite prolific. This is my woefully overcrowded, definitely needs to be rehoused to something bigger. Parcoblata fulvescens Appalachicola culture. I should really just move these to a 5-gallon and I can start using them as feeders like the red runners. Florida legal feeders, right? But yeah, these guys, really cool. Looks like my next generation, I'm having some fresh adults pop up in here too. Yeah, they definitely need to be moved to something a little bigger. They're doing very well. Get those here. Little wild types. They remind me of Phyllosia muscorum. Yeah, they're like Phyllosia muscorum, but easy and not a big pain in the butt. Phyllosia are a pain. They need it very cool. They don't like rises in temperatures. They like it very moist consistently, and they're just kind of a pain. I had them going. I had that species going for a while, but never did anything. This is my Haplothalmus danicus hickory dickory park enclosure. Plus, there's a few Salgania nymphs in here from. They're all females. Species that was brought in, but they were only females, and so unable to breed. But got those. What else? These are Parcoblata. Neat, I didn't know I gave you those. What, the Haplothalmus? Yeah, they came in with the Onomeris you gave me, and the Onomeris didn't breed, but the Haplothalmus did, so I got something out of that. These are Parcoblata virginica from Green Ridge, Maryland. No. Where are these? I think these are from Osceola Mills, Pennsylvania, actually. Yeah. Osceola Mills, Pennsylvania, Parcoblata virginica, and there are still nymphs in there, and I don't think you guys can probably see them. But they're mostly subadults, and I'm just waiting on them to mature. But they're being difficult. Alright. Marva pulchella. No. Marva arachidis. My pulchella are on a different shelf. These guys. Cute little dwarf earwig. Very pretty when the camera is actually focusing on them. And the lighting's good. And neither of those things are happening right now. Let's see if I lift this up. There's a lot of chambers. The adults are hiding. But yeah, these guys are very cute little species. Easy. Pretty bulletproof earwig species. Let's see if I have more comments. Rip, yeah. Poor Onomeris. Sometimes see green, red, green, yellow, and more from what? Oh, the Phyllosia. Yeah. They're very variable and very pretty, for sure, but they are a massive pain to breed. Electric kettles are super useful for sterilizing stuff from outside. Yeah, I bet they are. That does sound pretty convenient, especially like smaller quantities. R.I.P. Labradura herculania. I don't know what that species is. They sound cool. Are they extinct or something? Are those the giant St. Helens ones that are extinct? So those guys, yeah, those are amazing. Too bad they went extinct. These are my... Yeah, that's the St. Helen, yeah. Yeah, those are cool. Gosh, I wish someone could have gotten those into culture before they died out. Not only to preserve the species, but also, man, those things were massive. Imagine having those in captivity. They have a giant Australian. I think there's a species from Australia, and I think it's the second largest earwig species that we know of. And those guys are massive, and they're in culture in China, but they're like $300. They're selling them at like $300 per nymph over there, which is insane. Like that is, I mean, they are huge earwigs, but if they, they're not. I can't imagine an earwig being worth that much. Even if it's shot, if they shat diamonds, like I still don't think I would pay that much for an earwig. But these are Pycnocellus surinamensis, the dark morph, color form, locality, whatever. I think these probably come from Florida, um, if I had to guess. But we don't know because no one preserved locality information. They were actually mislabeled and sold as Pycnocellus nigra, but they are not nigra. They are surinamensis, just dark-winged ones. Although sometimes they throw out light-winged individuals, and they seem to go through phases of being more light-winged and then being more dark-winged. And I'm not sure if it's a humidity thing with them or not. But last round of adults I had, they were all really dark. So, yeah, these guys, pretty hardy roaches. Right. And we got, let's look through more. Imagine if they actually found a very isolated population. You know, could happen. Like those stick insects that lived on that one island, and then they found them. You know, an isolated population still surviving. Ooh, little. I don't know why the arrow's covering up the words. Ah, cute little shiny guys. Yes. These are big shiny guys. These are big. Well, not that big, but still. Lucy Hormetica verrucosa. This is the old hobby stock. All my adults of this first generation I got, they all came out with messed up wings. But these guys also have really shiny dark nymphs. But the adults are really cool. Let's see if I can show off a male. These guys have been breeding pretty well for me in this 1 gallon. This guy's got one glow spot. The other one's kind of like messed up. These are the warty glow spot roaches. Pretty cool. Pretty cool species. I have the Venezuela locality stock, but I kind of like this old hobby stock too, because they're, even though there's no locality information on them, and they might actually be a locality cross, they're a lot more colorful, a lot more vibrant as adults, a lot more like light banding on the abdomens, and I prefer the higher orange on these guys, honestly. So the Venezuelans are really cool, but I honestly really like these old hobby stock verrucosa as well, so I'm glad I have them now. You living in a desert explains all the water. I live in Georgia and my jaw hit the ground the first time I saw you miss your enclosures. Yeah, it dries out so fast, man. I have to water once a week too, because if I go longer than that, the things start drying to dangerous levels in some enclosures. So it's unfortunate. So on my wish list, I need the money. Don't we all? No, I feel you there. I feel you there for sure. But yeah, these guys. I love these guys. Then we have, I'm not even gonna really open this container because there's so many of them in here and they dart out as soon as I do, but these are Rhyperobia medirae. I need to get like I need to start making those like 5-gallon bucket bins. These are like a prime example of a species that would benefit from something like that. But these, I mean, I can show an adult. These are the medirae roach. I really like these guys. They're really cool. Underrated species. They've almost gone extinct in the U.S. hobby a couple times. But a nice, like, medium-sized, bulky roach. Very hyper. That's for sure. But I like them. I like a kind of a gunmetal gray color to them. They're pretty neat. Somewhat closely related to hissers. He has a stridulation of the wings there. I don't know if you guys heard that, but they can rub their wings together and kind of make a squeaking sound. But yeah, these guys are in the Oxyhaloanae. I think they're in the tribe Naphoetini, so like we got Naphoeta, Rhyperobia, I can't even pronounce the name, but the giant lobster roaches, that genus, Simendoa. All those guys are closely allied, and they're within the subfamily Oxyhaloanae, and that contains hissers. Grumphodorini are in Oxyhaloanae as well. Yeah, these guys, I just sprayed down one corner of the enclosure. I keep the rest dry. They're very well ventilated, and they just have been popping off lately. Excuse me. So yeah, these guys, pretty good. Definitely could be used as feeders for like assassin bugs and stuff. I think most vertebrates don't love them, at least not the adults, because they can have a myriad of defenses, including to, but not limited to, pooping on you. I think they have just a grody smelling defensive secretion as well. They'll jab you with their leg spines pretty harshly. So adults kind of a difficult feeder. Nymphs though, I think nymphs are a lot more palatable. And then assassin bugs don't care about any of that. Assassin bugs don't give a shit. Alright, these are my Libidioides ornata. No, Libidioides seyi forma seyi. These are the very typical Libidioides. Pretty cool. I think these started laying eggs again, because I think I've seen some babies in here. I don't know if they're still in here, but I mean, there's a lot of springtails in here, so you would hope that they're not instantly cannibalizing already. But yeah, these guys are pretty neat. Had them going for a few generations now. I don't know if I'll be keeping them long term, but I have them. So there's that. Euborrelia and Eulipes, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. These guys are pretty cool. The main colony I had from Kyle, they had some sort of entomophagus fungus, but I was able to isolate out a couple clean adults and establish a new colony, and they are fungus free, and looks like they're approaching the next generation of adults, so those will be popping off soon. These are Proporcelio Volcanius. Pretty easy, hardy species of isopod. There's some Alphidobius in here, and they really don't care. These are very easy isopods. And I've been keeping them pretty humid with good success. Generally, it's recommended to give them a humidity gradient. They don't like it too moist, but again, decent ventilation, and with my low air humidity, they seem to do better. Kept it more humid. Yeah. Alright, these are my Steatota? A couple Steatota in here. These are my Hilaria brevicornis. Big ol' boys. Now, normally I recommend giving these a organically rich substrate of rotten wood and such, but I had to replace my substrate recently, and there are hundreds of them in here, and so I was like, I'm pretty sure Kyle mentioned at one point he just kept his on potting soil and sand. So I was like, can I get away keeping them on just cocoa fur and sand and just topping them off with leaf litter? Because, to be honest, they go through their wood so slowly. The wood seems to degrade faster than they eat it. Due to, like, nematodes and stuff. They don't really seem to eat a ton of the wood. They mostly seem to eat the leaf litter. So, I'm starting to think the substrate base might not be that important. And, so far, that is holding true, because they are still doing just fine. But I just have them on cocoa fiber and sand at the moment. But these are one of the heaviest terrestrial isopods in the world. Let's see if I can find a good glob of them underneath this bark. Let's see. Yeah, there's a good amount. There's a lot of them all the way at the bottom, but you can see a bunch of them just chilling. Yeah, they get pretty big. Not seeing any of the big adults in here right now, but there's some pretty massive ones in here. That's a decent sized adult there. Yeah, these guys are just big old, slow isopods. I also just, I stopped giving them a diapause, because again, my colony is so numerous that I don't care if the females are reproducing every year, every female reproducing every year. Doesn't really matter. I'm at a population density where that's not so important. But yeah, a lot of them just chilling right under the hides. I think I've seen some newborns in here recently. So far so good with this more basic substrate mix. So we'll see how it works long term. But I can't really imagine them failing at this point. There's just so many in here. So we'll give them a few pieces of dog food as well. Spray them down. And I didn't give these a proper diapause, but I do keep these fairly cool compared to a lot of my other isopods. They're on the lowest shelf on this rack that's the furthest away from the heater, just because they don't seem to like it that warm. Put these away. Now, you know, I'm gonna put that up there. Now, real earwig hours. We got Anisolabius. Anisolabius? I always say Anisolabia, but I think it's Anisolabus. Anisolabus maritima, the maritime earwig. These ones come from somewhere in Alabama. I forget the locality. On my site. These guys get really big. These are my mission list. Let's see. Love using buckets for some species. These would thrive in a bucket setup for sure. Yeah. I think even Oren McMonagle in one of his older roach publications mentions using the bucket setup for Rhyperobia. Short were one of those, just teleported away, made me laugh. Yeah. Me and my friends on Discord were talking about making an under 18 only exotic reptile club, but I'm over 18, but they aren't, and we were talking about how much it sucks to be a teen and into exotic pets. Yeah. I mean, God, especially in this hobby. I mean, it's just everywhere nowadays, but there's a lot of creeps in this hobby. Especially the reptile hobby. Ugh. A lot of sexists, a lot of groomers, a lot of weirdos. Talking about doing group funding for members and no purchase necessary raffles, so members can get animals in enclosures. Well, that'd be really cool. If you guys do that, that's great. I hope you guys can get that to come together. That'd be pretty cool. Obviously, I won't be participating because I am over 18. 26. I got 1 foot in the grave already. I do love the Harvestman. You have so many cool species. Wow, thank you. What's the largest individual you found? Of the Hilaria, I think curled up, it was like, when it was conglobated, it was about the circumference of a nickel. Like, maybe a little bit smaller, but pretty dang big. That's hefty for a freaking Hilaria. Attempts, did you have them for the cooling period? Low 60s. Low to mid 60s. That's what I give most of my diapausing species. So not that cold. But it was enough to trigger a little bit of a dormancy. I'm seeing a lot of small Anisolabia. That's good. They're breeding. Can I show off an adult here? These guys do be massive. They are very large earwigs. That's a small adult. Give me a big one. I know there's a big one in here. I know there are multiple big ones, in fact. That's not a big one, but that is it is a male. So, you see that? Ow! He pinched me. These are Anisolabia maritima, the maritime earwigs. It's a particularly brown locality, too. I've seen a lot of the more northern localities are like pretty much black. But these guys are a lot more tan. So that's kind of neat. Kind of makes me want to keep one of the northern lines, though, just to have that color variation. But yeah, so the males get these really heavily curved forceps. Can I get it to focus there? So very heavily curved forceps on the males. The females, it's more straight. Damn, that's a big pod. Yes, it is. It's not just the creeps, but the gatekeeping and condescending educators and dogpiling and how hard it is to afford anything when you aren't old enough to get a job yet and just everything. Yeah, that really sucks. I mean, I'm an adult and I can't even afford anything. I get pretty much everything in this hobby through like trade and friends being generous. But bartering system, that's why I love this hobby. You can kind of just go back to the bartering system with it, even if you're, just starting out. Start with common species and you trade for ones that are, maybe a little less common, and you trade your way up through the rarity system, and, eventually you can get to the top tier just through bartering. I mean, that's what I've done. It takes longer than spending money for sure, but that is really one of the perks of this hobby is the trading aspect of it. I really do love that. So yeah, that is something that can help alleviate at least some of that, some of those issues for you, hopefully. But the gatekeeping and condescending. I mean, yeah, it definitely, that's definitely a problem. I think for everyone too. I mean, not just teens. Certainly, you guys probably have it worse, but I mean, yeah, let me tell you, the condescending tone and the gatekeeping does not stop once you're over 18. They are very indiscriminate with all that. Everyone gets condescended to these days and gate kept. It's just a lot of, the hobby's kind of taken a turn for the worse a lot in the past few decades, I feel. Like, it's better now in terms of the variability of species available. There's a lot more variety. And we're eating pretty good in terms of, this type of stuff that we can keep. But the influx of more people, especially in like the isopod hobbies, the tea hobbies, a lot of the more popular sub-hobbies, has attracted a lot of very toxic people, very toxic mindsets. I mean, and the reptile hobby, that's very far gone in that regard. So, it's just, people just aren't chill, They, I think people get a very big ego once they've been in the hobby for long enough, and they start to think they're maybe better than everybody. And, they may be more knowledgeable, more skilled, sure, but, I mean, still, you don't have to be so condescending to newcomers. And it's just that whole attitude is just kind of sad. I try to stay, you know, humble, as humble as I can, um, and I try not to be that kind of toxic. Um, Certainly, you know, there are some stuff that sometimes I'll see people post, and they'll often be newcomers, and they'll ask like something really like kind of something that I think is like kind of dumb or obvious, and I'll kind of just roll my eyes. But I mean, in that case, I don't even think that necessarily has to do with them being new. It's just some people are just dumb. I people are definitely in general getting a lot dumber. I don't think that's really up for debate. Not just in the hobby, just in general, man. God, oh my God. Like, I used to work at a Walmart, and it's like every new round of people they would hire, it would just get dumber and dumber, and like the most menial of tasks these people could not comprehend. I don't understand how these people drive. How, you know, it's crazy. People, I legitimately do think people are just getting so much dumber. And I mean, there are studies too to back that up. I think, you know, they're saying literacy is going way down in younger generations. You have people using AI to get their way through education as well. ChatGPT, that's opened up a whole new avenue of issues and incompetency in general. So, yeah, so I don't even think a lot of those issues I have with, you know, newer people entering the hobby. It's not even that they're new or inexperienced. I have no problem, you know, sharing information or answering questions. In that regard, it's just I've seen some people that are just asking like really doing really dumb things. Like one person like posted in an isopod group recently that like, oh, I put in isopods with my Pac-Man frog and it ate them all. What do I do? It's like, what do you mean? What do you do? It's a Pac-Man frog. They eat everything. You put your hand in there and they'll eat it. You can't co-have isopods with a Pac-Man frog. You know, they're just gonna, except maybe dwarf whites or something. They don't register as food because they're too small. But this dude had like dairy cows with his Pac-Man, and he was like, "What do I do? I don't understand what's going on." It's like, yeah, it's eating food that you put in its enclosure. That's what's going on. I don't know. Stuff like that. I don't know. But I try not to be gatekeeping, you know. Obviously, I try to try not to be. Maybe I am, and I don't even notice it. That's something that bugs me. But I try my best to share the information that I gather while engaging in this hobby and make it available to everybody and answer questions when I can, even you know, more easily Googleable ones. And yeah, I just try to stay positive and just be chill, you know? I think people just need to chill. People take this hobby too seriously sometimes. I mean, like this hobby is kind of my life, you know? This is my ultra hyper fixation. I've poured everything into this hobby. And even I can acknowledge, you know, some people get way too heated in conversation, you know, with the gatekeeping and the condescension, and there'll be, you know, people arguing rabidly over husbandry, and it's like, dude, we're talking about dirt, shrimp, and cockroaches. Like, what are we doing? You know, there are people sending death threats and doxing people in the isopod hobby over disagreement. And it's like, dude, it's dirt shrimp. What are we doing? Why are we taking this so seriously? Come on. Jeez Louise. So, yeah, I try to stay out of all that nonsense, and I just try to be as helpful and informative as I can to everyone, as long as it's not too banal. Being consumed by passion but completely incapable of acting on it. Yeah, no, that definitely does suck. Surprised with how low you priced the Hilaria. Yeah, I did have them a little bit more expensive like years ago, but I mean they have just dropped in price in general. But yeah, with the isopods, tend to stay on the lower end of market value. Yeah. Bartering, something we want to implement, yeah. Collecting culture local species for trade. I actually met Kyle online because I was culturing local park oblata. Yeah, exactly. You know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Something you find outside might not be easily accessible for other people. Might be something that's not even in culture yet that someone really wants. And you can work your way up like that. That's how a lot of people get started. Have I ever thought about getting Paseo CF Bolivari Sunset? I want them really, really, really badly. I have no means to acquire them at the moment. But if I were able to, I would. They are so pretty. Gosh, I would love those. I don't think they're in the US yet. And, I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but it's kind of getting hard to get stuff into the US recently. Certain changes have been made that has been making that quite difficult. So yeah, but I'm sure someone will bring them in eventually. And when they do, they will be high up on my priority list to acquire, because I really love those. I love bartering. I vended at an expo for the first time recently, and it's so much fun to see what everyone has and trades around. Yeah, that's really cool. I wish there were more expos in my area. Most of the ones here are pretty small still. Can't afford 8-foot enclosure. You cannot keep a garter snake. They're active, intelligent animals and need more enrichment them. Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see where the enrichment crowd is coming from for reptiles. I do think the standards are pretty low for reptiles, lower than they should be. But I think some people do probably take it a little too far, too. But that's a bit more of a controversial topic for sure. I think I'm getting dumber. Oh, me too, Frank. Don't worry, I'm right there with you. I'm definitely getting dumber. I've been trying to read more. I have started rereading the Inkheart trilogy. Pretty good series, but she just wrote she wrote a fourth entry for it recently, so I'm rereading the original trilogy so I can catch up and read that new book. But yeah, I've been trying. I really need to start reading more. I've replaced reading with doom scrolling and brain rot, and that's not good. So reading would definitely help. 15, can't afford an 8-inch enclosure. I literally have no money at all, my friend. Yeah, we all kind of dumb, to be honest. Yeah, really. Careful when answering questions because there are literally kids online everywhere. Little bro could ironically be 9 years old asking. Yeah. Someone asks me anything, I tell them everything I know. Pac-Man would eat you given the chance, definitely. Pac-Man, that's all they do is eat. One of the benefits of keeping inverts is that it's more accessible than most other pets because the little guys simply do not care as long as their base needs are met. Exactly. They're little bugs, you know. Most people's care for them is going to be better than what they experience in the wild, as long as you're, meeting all their basic needs. Trying to get into venomous keeping, and the gatekeeping is insane. Yeah, well, getting into HOTS as a teen is, definitely. I think it is probably for the best that they don't sell venomous animals to people under 18, probably. I would argue that a lot of the people that keep them that are over 18 should not be keeping them. I think there are a lot of irresponsible hot keepers out there, so I will admit I am kind of pro gatekeeping to an extent with that hobby. Not so much like gatekeeping information, but the actual animals themselves, yeah, I think people should be stricter with HOTS, honestly. Because when you get irresponsible people like free handling HOTS and, getting bit and then causing local legislation to become more strict, that just makes it worse for everybody. And that's been happening quite a bit recently. So, yeah. Not ideal. So I do understand not selling hots to, people under 18. Stuff that's just venomous and not life-threatening, though, I think that's fine. I mean, and I don't think there's not a lot. It's not like people are gatekeeping. Well, I mean, I'm sure they are, but it's a lot easier to acquire, like tarantulas and assassin bugs and stuff as a team, because for the most part, most of those aren't gonna kill you if they bite you. Okay, I'm gonna take care of the springtails next. So I'm gonna wash my hands, make sure I don't have any predatory mites on them. Alright, I'm back. Let's see what chat has to say. He was posted on this Prionotheca cornata. Yep. I actually, I showed him off earlier on the stream, Frank. I took care of the larva. You were there, though, for that? I think you were. My memory is so bad. I'm pretty sure you were. You were there. I think you commented on them. But yeah, for sure, I'll keep updating y'all on how those go. Just curious for now, but would you ever consider selling wholesale? I don't really breed stuff in enough numbers to do wholesale to make that a feasible or viable thing for me. Occasionally I'll have like wholesale quantities of stuff and I just cull it off all at once, either by feeding them off or selling. I do like auction large groups of stuff off sometimes, but yeah, wholesale in general not really for me. These are my European hobby stock. Euchenura apheroides, and I don't know if there's any that are on the surface here, but this colony has started to throw out yellow individuals. So I'm waiting for those to build. I have seen more and more of them. So the plan is, once there's like, I don't know, a dozen of them in here that I can isolate out, I will try to isolate that morph. But yeah, yellow Euchenura apheroides. I don't think anyone's done that yet. So hopefully that's something I can prove out. That'd be really cool. Oh, I missed the Prionotheca. It's got lots of different species. Show us the process 24/7 of the Prionotheca. Just set up a cam, a live cam, just watching them 24/7. To see every movement and bowel movement. I want to see some more oviposition from them is what I want to see. Alright, this is my Willosia species Codocinabalu setup. Upon the recommendations of others and my own observations of springtails doing better with roaches, I have started putting like single male hissers in some of my springtail containers just to see if that gets them to pop off a bit more. I think that they like eating the frass of the hissers, so we'll see if that helps. here we got another Pseudocyanella violenta. You know, just springtails doing their thing, doing their thing. These are the Ceratophycella isabellae yellow albinos. Hopefully those are showing up. Yeah, lots of these guys. I wish the pseudoscorpions liked these more, that these were easier to harvest. But they don't seem to be the best feeder option for the pseudoscorpions. They prefer entomobryomorphs, like the Pseudocyanella or Entomobria or Velocia coecobria. Some Lepidocitrus small silver, just a typical small silver springtails, itty bitty little guys. Which I am starting to think that these might be the preferred food source for the CF Tyrannochelifer from Florida, the little flat bark pseudoscorpions. I think these and book lice are probably their preferred food in the wild. Or at least springtails of this size. Because I notice I give them larger springtails and they don't really eat them, but those springtails are not breeding in that enclosure. So I think they're eating the babies of those springtails as they hatch out. So I have been feeding them Lepidocitrus, and we'll see if that gets them actually growing in numbers. How long do the Hemilepistis pavlovski get? Okay, so wild ones bigger. But my captive ones I've gotten to about, let me get a ruler out here so I can see, eyeball it. I've gotten them to about 1.5 inches, a little under 1.5 inches. Not including the antenna, maybe including the telson, the uropods. But the uropods don't get that big. So yeah, about 1.5 inches from the head to the tail end of the uropods. Is about as large as I've gotten them. I'll have to measure them up next time. But I think wild ones get a little bigger on average, which is true for most captive isopods. I'm also not 100% sure that Pavlovsky is the giant Hemilepistis species. I mean, they are huge, but I think there might be an undescribed species in Xinjiang that gets a little bit longer. Because I feel like I've seen pictures of ones from there that look like Pavlovsky, but they don't have the white margins that Pavlovsky often do. And I think those might be a different species. They're both found in Xinjiang, China, but I think there might be another undescribed, even larger Hemilepistis in that area. But I could be wrong. Okay, these are my Euchinura apheroides Florida, which we just figured out were apheroides. These are rebounding. There's one right there underneath that. It's there. You can see a little Cheeto dust. But I thought these were dead, but they have started proliferating. They had a predatory mite infestation, and I just kind of let them be. And well, I mean, I tried to recover them from the mites, but then it looked like there were none left. But I left this enclosure and kept maintaining it even after the predatory mites died out, and there are no springtails left. And wouldn't you know it, there were still springtails in there. Alright, now we're getting into the closet bugs. They're the closeted bugs. but me for real. No, I'm not closet. These are, well, this was my angel insect colony, and then the angel insects got killed by predatory mites. So now it's my new, my flatworm colony. I got these little flatworms from outside. I forget how to say the name, but it starts with an R. They're like a little gray flatworm species. I think they're cosmopolitan at this point. But, hoping to breed those. I think they eat springtails is their main prey item. So, here's hoping those pop off. And, got some slime mold here. This is just random slime mold that's been popping up in my bins. And, unfortunately, it does not seem to be virile enough to be used for springtail food. But I'm just culturing it out of fun at this point. And also testing out, I'm using the plaster of Paris as a medium instead of, most people use paper towel. But I always had issues with paper towel rotting too quickly and like just not being great. But if this plaster of Paris can work for this indefinitely, that would be really good. This culture, it's still, there's still some in there. You can see the veins in there, right there, still alive. I think this is getting a little too dry though, so I'll add a little bit of water. The only thing with the plaster of Paris is I have a hard time gauging when it's dry versus wet. And it's not like it's super absorbent, so, I mean, it is it's very porous, but, basically you can't tell when it's fully absorbed with water. So like if I spray it with too much water, it'll just pull up on top of it because it's already so saturated, but it's hard to tell because it'll physically look dry. But this culture has some grain mites and nematodes in it, not the best, but the mold still seems to be, the slime mold still seems to be growing, so I'll keep at it. But ideally I'm practicing with this stuff, and if I can get them culturing pretty much indefinitely on plaster of Paris, and that'd be great, and I can use that for the Daywalker slime mold that I'm hoping to get from Ben Groover here soon. And then if I get that stuff culturing, you know, nicely and repeatably, then I can maybe get into some of the slime eating springtails. And maybe, because I'm pretty sure the North American ones also eat slime mold, North American net-winged beetles, which the tropical trilobite beetles are simply a type of net-winged beetle. And I can't get those, but a lot of the North American net-winged beetles are really cool as well. And I can potentially get those in the future, so... And I think their larvae also are slime mold feeders. So, if I can culture slime mold repeatably and well enough without causing too much of a problem, then I could maybe culture some of the native net-winged beetles. Those orange and black ones y'all have on the East Coast are really cool. I'd really like some of those. I'm trying to get into slime molds myself. Pet slime mold. I wonder how many people have them. More people now than ever, because people realize some of the cool springtail species need them. So now a bunch of people are culturing slime molds just to keep the springtails. Compsody Schwartzies. Yeah. The micro roaches are the Nocticola Vegas and Compsody Schwartzi are what are in a lot of my bins. Maybe I'll look for some Dom Vomit slime molds while hiking. I don't know if anyone's gotten those to culture repeatedly. I think there were some issues with those setting to like spore too quickly. Yeah. But these are Dermestes undulatus and Pyralis ferinalis. These are really cute. I like these Dermestids. Very pretty. These ones are like, they kind of like got a bluish sheen to them as adults. And now I'm having difficulty finding any of them. There's one. But the underside's stark white with some black patterning, but then the tops got some nice bluish sheening to them. Can I just, you know, they play dead when they're upside down, but not when they're right side up, which is unfortunate. But it's black and white modeled, but it has a nice grayish, bluish sheen to it in good lighting, which this is not. But hopefully some of that is showing up. But yeah, these guys, really cool. I really like these. These are one of the hardier Dermestes. I've had no problem culturing these consistently. And then these are Dermestidator, again, no problem culturing these consistently. And these are much quicker to fly. These guys I collected, there was a male and female pair just flying around in my mom's room like last summer or the summer before that. And I grabbed them, threw them in a bin, and they bred. So sometimes you don't even got to go outside to find stuff, guys. It just pops up. And it's funny because I've not seen those since, like, either indoors or outdoors, other than in my room. So that's pretty funny. These are, I don't want to dig these up. I do need to replace this substrate soon. These are Panethea Ancodelioides from Queensland, Australia, which are pretty neat, but pretty basic looking Panethea, and don't want to dig them up right now. Look into those netwing beetles for you if I post a pic of them. Are they in Georgia? I think so. I think there's some in Georgia. I think they're around the East Coast. Watching your unboxing video and realized I forgot to tell you there was a third harvestman in the container that I sent you. I did find that third harvestman after filming that video. And I don't know if it's the same species or not. It's quite a bit smaller and very bright orange. But I just have it in with them in case it is just an immature of that same Bishopella species, Alan. But, I mean, if it's not, I guess we'll find out. I think the Trirophis Fort Stockton are really cool. Yeah, they're super cute. I love them. Bought some Trirophis from him recently. They're adorable and really hope I'll get larvae soon. Yeah, they're really cute. Got the Ancodoiles uncorked. No. That's sawdust. It's been aged and decomposed by them quite a bit. But it is wood, not cocoa fiber. It's so dark that it looks like cocoa fiber now. Yeah, I need to refresh their substrate though for sure. Probably not the same species, but it was in the same area. Okay, good to know. It doesn't look particularly fat to me. So if it's female, I don't know if it's gravid or mated. And I think it's probably a male if it's an adult of whatever species it is. And then if it's an immature, obviously it doesn't matter because it's not gonna be able to breed. But speak of the devil, this is their enclosure right now. There's the well, there's one of the adult, the Bishopella. You can see, oh, and there's the mystery one. A little bright orange feller in there. There you go. So that's the random third individual. But then there's the one of the two darker Bishopella, which hopefully ends up. I think these two. Definitely, this one looks fat and plump enough that I'm hoping it's a female, a gravid female. And I think the other one. Oh, there is the other one. Might also be a female, to be honest. They're both so plump and rotund. I feel like males don't typically get that fat, but I could be wrong. But yeah, seem to be doing well. Hopefully, I get some babies from them. I do need to put some more springtails in there, though. I think they already ate most of the ones I gave them. But, for now, they get some fish food pellets. Wish I had a huge diversity of harvestmen in my area. Yeah, I mean, same, dude. I do not have much in the way of harvestmen here other than the European invasives that are just not that interesting to me. These are my Porcellanites prunosus, blanking on the name. Porcellanites prunosus Dalmatian, isolated from stock I collected in Melba, Idaho. So this is an invertebrate dude original morph here. And these were, I sent individuals of the founding stock over to Nathan Jones for identification, and he dissected them and determined that they were actual prunosis, so not Floria or anything, they're real prunosis. And it's the Dalmatian morph, and these are a lot brighter, a lot more white than the Oreo crumble morph of this species in the hobby. So I really like these quite a bit. Very, I guess, low expression Dalmatian. Is it low expression if they have less pigment on them? They're high white. But yeah, really cool. I really do like these quite a bit. And they just popped up in my normal wild type culture. Kind of hoping they'll throw oranges one of these days so I can isolate those too from the same stock and then make orange Dalmatians. But we'll see. These also need more leaf litter. Here soon. I already gave them dog food. And these are the Bishopella I'm blanking on names right now. Bishopella species Tuscaloosa boat ramp. And there's a, you can see that white one there. That's an immature. They're like ghostly white when they're immatures, and but they're orange as adults. So if I can find one, there is a slime mold growing in here pretty virulently. So I don't know if you can see that one well. No, you can't. Let me see if I can grab one, put it on my hand. Well, it's all tucked up now. They play dead when you pick them up. But that is a harvestman. That is a Bishopella species. Tuscaloosa boat ramp. They're so small. They're so small, and this one's tucked up into a ball. I scared him. There we go. There we go. Now he's walking. He's a walking after midnight. But yeah, these are a cute little micro species. Need to throw in some more springtails into their bin too. I think they've mostly eaten theirs by now. Does not want to focus on him. But yeah, absolutely. And this is an adult. So they're absolutely tiny little guys. Still not as small as the Texella species I have, though. Which look like that, but smaller and a little rounder. Food. Cute. These are Ancodelia ceratissima. This is also old sawdust. They have mostly converted it to frass. But yeah, these guys are very hardy Ancodelia species. Not nearly as picky about their substrate as Ancodelia hemifera. Man, I'm really blanking on names tonight. Yeah, those guys are a bit more picky. They like white rot level kind of wood. These guys are just fine on sawdust, and even when the sawdust degrades quite a bit, they don't really care until it becomes muddy. If it becomes muddy, then they need rehouse. But yeah, they're really easy. One of the good beginner penestine, in my opinion. These are a bunch of random bins. This is a Hemiblabra Rosenni. They were not meant to be in this bin this long, but they have now bred in here. And yeah, I mean, once their population really starts popping off, I'll move them to a larger bin like the Tenebracosa. But I mean, they're chilling in here, and there's a lot of babies in the substrate now. So these guys doing pretty well. You know, honestly, that apple. Let's see. I spray that down. That's still edible underneath. Mostly. As short an apple as I am today, I'm just gonna leave that in there. And they can still nibble on that. Here's some dog food. You guys are good. Easy species. They look like trilobites, yeah. I mean, these are the horseshoe crab roaches, as people call them. This is my Procellunites CF Virgatus. Which one? I have them all here. This is the Everglades. These guys have finally started doing well enough that I keep forgetting. I want to put them up on my site for sale. These guys are actually doing good now. I previously had them in like one of those typical gallon shoebox bins that I have a lot of my iSpods in. I think I was keeping them too hot and too dry, too well ventilated. And I mean, this bin is not poorly ventilated, I would say. Mesh here, and some mesh on the lid as well. But still, I guess it's maintaining a higher level of humidity in here, and they seem to appreciate it. And they're doing well in this flatter bin. So, finally got a decent colony going. There's also a decent amount of Compsodies in here. But these are the neat Procellunites. Yeah, look at that little baby. So yeah, they're doing well in this bin. And I think the same, I moved all my CF Virgatus to this type of bin. So that's the Everglades. Here are the Miamis. Which I need to top them off on leaf litter as well, but they just got through theirs. And these I have started seeing Manka in here again as well, but there's a more orangey male right there. Yeah, look, there's a pair, I think, and then there's Manka right there. Small one, but then the teeny tiny baby right there. Kind of hard to see. Yeah, so they are breeding. And not as much as the Everglades yet, but I think they are on the up and up. And I'm going to toss in some more leaf litter in here soon. And hopefully, yeah, but I just moved these to this bin. And again, they seem to prefer this to what I was keeping them in before. So here's hoping. I hear these are not doing too hot in the hobby, so hopefully I can build my colony up more and get them redistributed to people who need them. And then these are the best of them all. These are the big pine keys. And I just moved them to this type of bin as well because they needed a rehouse. And they were doing okay in their old bin. They just needed revamped. But I had another one of this type of bin to spare, and I kind of wanted the square container they were previously in for something else. So I just moved them into here, and now they're all scurrying to where I can't show them off. Here we go. These are the best of the CF Virgatus Porcellanites, in my opinion. Got the most patterning on them, and yeah, these are really nice isopods. And these aren't even really high yellow ones. There are some better ones in here for sure. But that's the state of that culture. And spray them down. And these are my Salgania species Hezu China. These guys, a lot of fresh adults in here, as you can see. They still got their wings. They do tear them off after a while. But you can see a little baby there, too. Baby Salgania look like termites, basically. Super cool. But yeah, these guys, of all the Salgania, these have been the easiest for me. They really are not too picky. And they'll take compressed sawdust just fine. I don't even really have any larger chunks of wood in here, and they eat the sawdust. So definitely these guys. I think I was gonna put these up on my site as well here pretty soon. They are doing pretty well. All right. That in a little bit. Wait. And then I think I'm gonna just get through this top shelf, and then I'm gonna cut the stream short because my blood sugar's feeling kind of low, so I think I gotta go eat. And then I might start the stream up again and film the rest of it. Or I might do it off camera. But, yeah, so we'll get through this shelf, and then I'm going to go address that. Now, these... oh, wow, okay. I did this to prove a point. So these are, these are Panacea and Gestapenis cognata from Laos, right? And, me and my friend were talking about these and how dang prolific and hardy they are, and also how cognata specifically, really, they eat so much of the supplemental food you feed them that it really begs the question, do they even need wood in their diet? And so my friend Brandon Main sent me some Laos, because I already have the Cambodia, and I keep those on sawdust. And but I didn't have the Laos, and I didn't really want to bother with setting up a whole nother, big bin and devoting that much sawdust and wood to another cognata line, because they both look identical. Although I am noticing the Laos seem to have slightly redder wings as adults. Slightly. But we were both like, I bet these could just do fine on cocoa fiber. And so this is coconut fiber. I've had these on coconut fiber since I had them as like medium nymphs. And they matured just fine. But it's been a long time, and I didn't really think they were going to breed on coconut fiber. But lo and behold, I just found babies. And there were a decent bit of them underneath that apple, but they've all dispersed. But yeah. Yeah, they have bred. I have reared and bred Panacea and Gestapenis cognata on pure coconut fiber, just with supplemental foods. So, I definitely don't think you could do this with most Panacea with much success, but it seems like cognata really do not give an F about what substrate they're on. Yeah, it seems like a decent litter in here. So I'm going to continue to culture these on coconut fiber, and if I build up a decent colony of them, I mean, that'll go to show Panacea and Gestapenis cognata really do not care. And it's like a centimeter deep, too. It's not. It's shallow coconut fiber, but I just kept them moist, you know, and fed them normal roach foods, and they have bred. So, yeah. Again, some of the other, especially like the penestinae that are actually picky about their wood type, I don't think you could culture those on cocoa fiber. But specifically, Panacea and Gustapennis cognata are so hardy that I don't think they actually need wood in their diet. But we'll see. I mean, that is a first generation born out of just coconut fiber, but we'll see if I get further than that. These are my Oligatoma saundersi, Florida City web spinners. They have completely colonized this container, and they gobble up the dog food I give them. Let's look at that. There's some more life stages under there. Not that many. I mean, there's a ton in here, but they're all like these silk tubes go multiple layers down. Bunch of dead males on the lid, along with some living nymphs too. But yeah, these guys super cool, very hardy, and also escape artists. I hear. I have not given mine much opportunity to escape. I keep them. This lid, it closes airtight, and I only gave them micro mesh ventilation. But I hear, I mean, they can scale enclosures very easily just by building silk tubes up the sides of them. And I hear if they get out, they get into everything. So that is something to keep in mind. This is my Hemiblabra tenebricosa, Monroe County, Florida bin. I didn't eat a lot of their dog food from last week. Even though there's so many of them. But yeah, these guys are seriously insane. There's so many. Picking out some of the dead bodies. And there's some old dog food that just like molded over that they didn't eat, which is kind of weird because there's hundreds of them in here. I guess I overestimated how much food they were going to eat. But I'm also surprised they're letting their bodies get moldy. This is just aspergillus. This is not entomophagus fungus. Just general scavenger mold. But I'm kind of surprised with how many Hemiblabra there are in here. I'm surprised they even let their bodies get to that point, because you'd think they'd just be eating them. But yeah, let me get some of this dog food out before I put in new stuff. But you can just hear how many there are in here, I'm sure. They are a very prolific and hardy Hemiblabra, that's for sure. Want my Bruneri to get to this point. Look at that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get all of this out, but a decent bit of it. I overcompensated, gave him too much dog food last week, I guess. Alright, I mean, that's probably going to do it. Yeah, I mean, look at that, there's so many. And the nymphs are dirt colored, so you can't even see, but there's like tons of nymphs in the substrate as well. But you can definitely see these shiny adults pretty well. They're definitely one of the more hardy Hemiblabra for sure. Let's give them some new dog food and apple. I am gonna give them more dog food than that though. Since I can't give them too much fruit, I'm almost out of apple, and I gotta get through some of the other bins. Down a little bit. Rotting wood type substrates can get expensive, so that's good to know. Yeah. Aspiducious in 2 years going to look like that. I hope we get to that point. That would be great. Do they ever make you hungry? No. No. Is there a reason you mostly feed apple instead of other produce? Well, I don't really bother with vegetables much, just because some species simply don't eat them, and others, like these orange heads, these French Guiana Eublabrus postigus, while I'm sure they would eat them, I mean, apple does the same thing. Basically, fruits are beneficial to a lot of species, especially a lot of blabrids. They induce reproduction in a lot of them. And even some other species just prefer some sugary food from time to time as well. So apple kind of fills that that niche well of you know, just being a good staple fruit. And you know, if you're giving them apple, you don't really need to give them vegetables. I mean, most vegetables, commonly accessible vegetables, mainly what they're getting from that is hydration. So apple is the same thing. So it's kind of just the all-in-one, kind of the best produce. I do offer banana from time to time as well for some of the blabberids that are a little bit more picky and don't love apple, want something a little more mushy. But yeah, for the most part, apple is just great. It's good for hydration. You know, it's sugary, so you know, some species that like those more sugary types of foods will eat that just fine. And again, just fruits in general seem to be beneficial for some blabberids to get them to reproduce. Yeah, so it's just the best fruit, you know, and it's also one of the more cheaper ones to buy in decent quantities. So all around, it is the best. It's the best around. No one's ever gonna keep it down. And there we go. Usually I would give them a little more than that, but again, I'm down to a single apple. I bought 3 bags. Usually 3 bags is enough. This week, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, guys. I ran out. I feel like sometimes they gyp you with the apples. I feel like sometimes they give you less than some bags have less, I think, than others. And I just grabbed 3, assuming it's going to be enough. But I think I got some light bags this time. I mean, they price it by the pound, so it's not like I paid more for it, but, you know. Make it concerned with adding fruit when the peel's still on? Nah. If I was using organic, I would. Because organic fruits often still have residual pesticides on it. Organic doesn't mean no pesticides. Organic means organic pesticides. And your bugs can't tell the difference. But a lot of fruits, especially apples, often the apples you're buying are not fresh. They're often like a year old. They preserve them, I forget the exact method, but they preserve them in some sort of oxygen deprivation method. Basically, a lot of the apples that you're getting, the pesticides that were used on them, they're because they've been stored for so long, the shelf life of the pesticides usually is long expired by the time the apples hit the shelves. Whereas organic pesticides, whatever method they use to store the apples, is not organic. So organic apples are fresh, but they also still have pesticides on them usually. Whereas the non-organic apples are usually like often from a year or more ago. And so the pesticides they were treated with when they were on the farm have since expired. So they're safe to use most of the time. So I've never had pesticide poisoning from using apples, non-organic apples. So wish people would provide more detailed locality for stocks. Yeah, I wish so too, Alan. French Guiana is kind of a very broad locality. But better than we get sometimes. Sometimes we get nothing at all, so I'll take it. I think for some people, I know for some people, it's to prevent suspicion of them being the ones that smuggled them in from whatever country they were smuggled out of. So that can be a factor sometimes. Okay. Well, I'm out of water. and I'm not gonna bother going out to get more water and not eating. So I'm going to end the stream here actually, and I'm gonna eat dinner, and I might start up the stream again afterwards to finish up the rest of the maintenance. So or I might not. So future you will know, but current me does not. So alrighty, 24 hours, 24-hour stream. No, I mean, I could just leave this going, but that'd be boring. So, alright. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. And I might stream again here, like in an hour or two. But I might not. So, anyways, thanks for watching. Appreciate all the people that joined and liked. Thanks for hopping in. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.